I was just giving people some time to join in. Ok? Hej och välkomna. Bom dia e bem-vindos a este evento organizado pela Agência para o Desenvolvimento e Coesão e a Portugal Inovação Social, em colaboração com a Svenska ESF-rådet, Swedish ESF Council. Dear guests, dear experts, dear representative of the European Commission, on behalf of the Swedish and Portuguese National Contact Point for the EaSI strand, it is my honor to welcome you to this event. Before we start, I would like to inform you that this event will be recorded, and after the event, we'll make the video available for information purpose. A participant and contact list will also be made and sent out after the event. During the event, you'll be able to ask questions by using the Q&A in the Zoom function. Please note that we also have a chat function, but for questions and answers, we kindly ask you to use the Q&A function. Yeah, I was also asked to give you a short information about the national contact points. What are our missions and activities? So let's do a recap. In 2021, the European Commission launched a call for proposal called National Contact Points for the Employment and Social Innovation strand under the ESF+. The objective of the call was to support national contact points and to support national authorities in establish and maintaining a national contact point to inform about the EaSI strand, its opportunities, application requirements, projects and results in their countries, but also assisting in sharing and promoting results and support potential beneficiaries. Portugal and Sweden applied, and now the Swedish ESF Council and Agência para o Desenvolvimento e Coesão e a Portugal Inovação Social, we are the national contact points for the EaSI in Sweden and Portugal. With that said, the Swedish and the Portuguese national contact points will once again want to welcome you to this webinar with a focus on the published call for proposal by the European Commission called Social Innovation Practice to Combat Homelessness. And now I would like to give the word to my Portuguese colleague, Luisa Bernardes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Teresa. So I will present you the workshop main objectives that you may already know, but our main focus for today is to have a presentation of the EaSI call for proposals, social innovation practices to combat homelessness, the introduction of the Portuguese and Swedish national strategies to combat homelessness, and to facilitate the exchange of information among participants to allow networking and potential joint application, as we will circulate the contacts among the participants, and to disseminate promising practices that have been developed and implemented within Portugal and Sweden. So our speakers for today, let's have a quick overlook of our agenda, is Maria Elias from the European Commission that will present the call, Mr. Henrique Joaquim, that is responsible for the Portuguese national strategies for the integration of homeless people, Anna Nerelius and Anna Lindskog, responsible for the Swedish national strategy for the integration of homelessness people, Americo Nav, that will present a project from Portugal that has been considered innovative, that is a Housing First project. He comes from the Crescer Association here in Portugal. Then we will have Sara Svensson from Children Housing First project from the Save the Children organization from Sweden. We will have Lisette Cordeiro, also from Portugal, a project of Housing First of the Impulsar Association based here in Portugal. and Karina Celebi with the project The Key, a collaboration model to enable women subjected to domestic violence safe accommodation, a project from Göteborg Stadmission from Sweden. And these are the speakers for today. So our first speaker is Maria Elias. I think that she already here is with us. Maria? Let me just check if she is in the... I'm not identifying her in the list. So my suggestion is that I give the floor to Mr. Henrique Joaquim. Henrique? Mr. Henrique Joaquim is the responsible for the national strategy for the integration of homeless people that will present the Portuguese strategy, giving some highlights of the main challenges and priority areas for the emergency of social innovation practices in their perspective. Henrique, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Good morning, everyone. I prefer to talk in Portuguese, if you don't mind. Okay? Em primeiro lugar, agradecer aos pontos focais, os nossos parceiros suecos e, obviamente, aos portugueses, por organizarem este evento para que possamos conhecer melhor e perceber melhor este aviso e esta oportunidade que temos de desenvolver algum projeto transnacional e a nível europeu que nos permita não só inovar, como aumentar respostas para as pessoas em situação de sem-abrigo. Queria cumprimentar também todos os presentes e espero que no final deste webinar consigamos estar suficientemente motivados para apresentar uma candidatura que seja forte, consistente e que nos leve a bom porto. Vou fazer uma muito breve apresentação, não da nossa estratégia inteira, mas daquilo que me parece que pode ser a prioridade, tendo em conta o contexto e os objetivos deste aviso. Vou só tentar partilhar a minha tela. E penso que estão a ver, gostava só que alguém... Yeah. Ok, então, Estratégia Nacional para as Pessoas em Situação de Sem-Abrigo existe e está aprovada em Portugal desde 2017. Nesta fase está a terminar, mas estamos já a preparar uma proposta para uma futura estratégia a partir de 2024. Assenta num conceito muito inspirado na estrutura conceptual que é o EaSI e que está a ser cada vez mais utilizada nos diferentes Estados-membros, embora em Portugal, para efeitos de monitorização e de dados estatísticos e até também do plano de intervenção, nós nos centremos fundamentalmente nas duas principais categorias deste conceito. Ou seja, as pessoas que estão efetivamente na condição de sem-teto e as pessoas que estão na condição de sem-casa. Aquilo que normalmente se chama o ethos light, ou seja, a parte mais simples deste conceito, e é nestes dois focos. E nesse sentido definimos para nós em Portugal, e está estabelecido em diploma legal, o que tem sido uma enorme vantagem, que no território nacional consideramos uma pessoa na condição de sem-abrigo, toda e qualquer pessoa, qualquer ser humano, digamos assim, que independentemente da nacionalidade, da etnia, da idade, do género sexual, do seu estatuto económico, toda e qualquer pessoa que efetivamente não tenha um teto ou não tenha condições para aceder a uma habitação por meios próprios. Depois, de facto, dividimos na condição extrema aqueles que estão na rua ou em situações equiparadas, ou aqueles que já estão em respostas específicas para esta população, mas que são suportadas por algum tipo de financiamento, seja de organizações privadas, mas fundamentalmente de organizações públicas ou com financiamento público. Definimos como visão e que orienta todas as organizações que trabalham connosco em todo o território nacional, que o nosso objetivo é ter sempre em mente que temos que tudo fazer para evitar que uma pessoa esteja na situação extrema, ou seja, esteja na rua, mais de 24 horas por falta de alternativas. Obviamente que isto é um objetivo que ainda não alcançamos, mas digamos que é o ponto e é o nosso objetivo que nos dá a orientação. Ou seja, quando temos uma pessoa nesta condição, aquilo que tudo temos que fazer e tudo temos que adaptar é para evitar que isto aconteça, porque sabemos que quanto mais depressa evitarmos esta situação, mais fácil ou maior a probabilidade de resolver a situação. Quanto mais tempo demorarmos, mais difícil se torna depois resolver esta situação. Do conjunto de princípios em que a nossa estratégia assenta, eu destacaria estes 4. Por um lado, ela é fundamentalmente baseada numa visão de direitos humanos e de dignidade humana, de equidade e de não discriminação. Daí nós considerarmos que para nós uma pessoa em situação de sem-abrigo não depende de nenhuma outra condição, apenas de ter ou não ter acesso a uma habitação digna, e adotámos também como orientações uma abordagem sempre centrada na pessoa, porque sabendo, ou melhor, acreditamos e cada vez mais temos informação e dados que nos permitem dizer de forma consistente que quando falamos de pessoas em situação de sem-abrigo, não há, embora a condição seja a mesma do ponto de vista conceitual, depois cada pessoa é uma situação muito concreta que tem que ter um apoio, um acompanhamento e uma intervenção muito personalizada. Daí adotarmos esta metodologia das abordagens centradas nas pessoas e olharmos para este fenómeno como um fenómeno social complexo, e isto obriga-nos depois a termos uma intervenção que tem que ser integrada, ou seja, não há uma organização sozinha que consiga resolver um problema, porque não há uma resposta global, tem que haver um conjunto de respostas que têm que ser pensadas e que têm que ser organizadas, sempre com o foco na pessoa, mas olhando para a pessoa em todas as suas dimensões. Não queremos nunca ver a pessoa apenas nas suas necessidades básicas. Acreditamos que todo o ser humano e toda a pessoa tem também expectativas, tem também sonhos, tem também uma dimensão de esperança, e tudo isso, todas essas dimensões têm que ser trabalhadas. Estamos a apostar nesta metodologia do gestor de caso, e a nossa meta é que não haja uma pessoa na condição de sem-abrigo que nós conheçamos e que saibamos que ela está nesta condição, que não tenha um gestor de caso, um profissional que acompanhe e que com ela faça um plano individualizado para encontrar a melhor solução para o seu contexto. Isto obriga-nos cada vez mais a termos uma intervenção que tem que ser inovadora e flexível. Porque, como disse, não há dois planos iguais, não há duas pessoas iguais, não há duas formas iguais de viver a situação. Pode haver respostas que são comuns e que são semelhantes, mas depois ela tem que ser adaptada a cada situação. Como às vezes costumamos dizer, tem que ser uma situação de cariz de alfaiate, não pode ser de pronto a vestir em que todos vestem da mesma forma. Não, tem que ser tudo feito à medida daquele contexto e daquela pessoa. Eu destacaria ou organizaria a nossa estratégia em 3 grandes dimensões, centradas na prevenção, no acesso o mais rápido possível a um contexto de habitação, e depois também no objetivo sempre macro, que é nunca perder de vista que aquilo que nós pretendemos alcançar com estas pessoas é a sua autonomia e a sua autodeterminação. Ou seja, não queremos estar no paradigma de gerir situações até ao dia em que aconteça um milagre ou qualquer coisa se resolva. Não. Aquilo que temos que trabalhar é para, tão rápido quanto possível, estas pessoas poderem voltar a viver de forma autónoma, de forma livre, e poderem fazer as suas escolhas. O nosso foco tem estado fundamentalmente nestas duas dimensões. Mudamos e temos vindo a mudar paulatinamente a abordagem, ou seja, da gestão, como se costuma dizer, do paradigma em escada, em evolução, para uma intervenção cada vez mais centrada no acesso ao espaço e à resposta habitacional. E não investimos tanto, e agora começámos efetivamente a pôr na nossa agenda e nas nossas prioridades também a dimensão da prevenção. E esse é também uma dimensão que queremos pôr em todos os projetos futuros que venhamos a desenvolver. De uma forma atual, eu diria que as nossas metas, e nós temos recenseados em Portugal, nós fazemos, já agora partilhar com os nossos parceiros presentes, principalmente da Suécia, temos vindo a partilhar no âmbito da plataforma europeia, mas nós aplicamos um questionário uma vez por ano, e nesse questionário, nos últimos anos, temos vindo a melhorar quer a apropriação do conceito, e isso tem-nos vindo a permitir ter um diagnóstico do território nacional cada vez mais consistente. Neste momento, em Portugal, estimamos ter cerca de 10.700 pessoas, 50% estarão na condição de sem-teto, 50% mais % ou 2 de cada lado, mas estão mais ou menos divididos nestas duas categorias, e investimos nos últimos anos numa estratégia de housing-led, ou seja, aquilo que, do ponto de vista do governo, foi colocado ao dispor das organizações, é um financiamento para respostas, quer no modelo Housing First, que já existiam em Portugal, mas não eram financiadas pelo governo central, quer um tipo de resposta complementar para outro perfil de pessoas, que é aquilo que nós chamamos a habitação partilhada, que são pequenas unidades onde podem residir, de acordo com o perfil das pessoas, 2, 3, 4, no máximo 5 pessoas, se for uma habitação grande e que tenha espaços individualizados para cada uma delas. Mas, no geral, estamos a falar de habitações que são partilhadas entre 2 a 3 pessoas na habitação partilhada ou no Housing First. E depois vamos ter aqui a oportunidade de ver duas das organizações que desenvolvem o Housing First em Portugal. Há várias, e temos vindo a apostar numa estratégia de trazer mais organizações a aplicar este modelo e disseminá-lo pelo território nacional, porque ele foi inicialmente muito mais focado na cidade de Lisboa, e agora temos vindo a investir para que outras organizações noutros pontos do país o possam desenvolver também. Basicamente, como temos uma abordagem centrada na pessoa, como queremos uma intervenção personalizada, aquilo é que acreditamos é que se tivermos diferentes modelos de resposta, podemos chegar a diferentes perfis. E o Housing First é claramente um modelo de resposta que nos tem dado muitos resultados e bons, e que queremos desenvolver de uma forma integrada. Depois, apostar também exatamente na capacitação dos profissionais para esta metodologia da gestão de caso, concretamente da gestão de caso aplicada ao acompanhamento e à relação de ajuda com pessoas em situação de sem-abrigo. Onde é que estão as nossas grandes dificuldades e os desafios? Efetivamente, nós temos que replicar muito mais estas oportunidades de resposta, porque, como disse, quanto mais respostas pudermos oferecer para colocar as pessoas o mais cedo possível numa habitação, maior a probabilidade de alcançarmos a autonomia e a sua autodeterminação. E é isso que temos como desafio, e que esperamos que um projeto destes nos permita também aumentar a nossa capacidade de resposta, que no ano 2022, de acordo com o questionário que aplicámos, nós conseguimos retirar desta condição mais de 700 pessoas. Este, no fundo, é um desenho do nosso modelo de intervenção, que aposta nestas dimensões, ou seja, queremos uma abordagem, como eu disse, integrada, que olha para todas as dimensões da pessoa, mas, acima de tudo, aqui estão os nossos principais desafios, basicamente consolidar esta abordagem, de nos centrarmos efetivamente na pessoa, não apenas nas suas necessidades básicas, mas na sua condição humana como um todo, e desenvolvermos de forma consistente e aumentarmos o número de oportunidades de acesso a uma habitação segura, a uma habitação estável e permanente em diferentes perfis. Temos vindo a desenvolver também um sistema de informação e um sistema de avaliação, mas eu centrar-me-ia, e penso que o grande objetivo, parece-me, grande objetivo num aviso destes, poderia ser nós conseguirmos, só me vê a palavra em português, não sei se nos conseguem traduzir, alavancar, ou seja, permitir consolidar alguns projetos e alguma abordagem que já temos, e o Américo e a Lisete vão falar de como têm vindo estas duas organizações, por exemplo, a desenvolver os projetos de Housing First, que não são apenas centrados na habitação, mas que se focam também no complemento nesta abordagem, que permite garantir a habitação, a capacitação destas pessoas e o seu acesso aos serviços, seja de saúde, seja de apoio social, garantindo e efetivando os seus direitos enquanto cidadãos, mas, ou seja, dar-lhes, de facto, todas as ferramentas, proporcionar-lhes as ferramentas para que eles possam efetivamente viver sem ter que estar suportados por uma instituição. Ou seja, como é que nós conseguiríamos não só desenvolver, se calhar, e replicar esta metodologia que temos vindo a ter e que temos vindo a apostar em alguns projetos, como também dar-lhes muito mais uma dimensão de prevenção. E por isso, para já, ficava-me por aqui, e depois, se houver alguma pergunta, alguma dúvida, deixaria, mas acho que melhor do que eu, depois os projetos, a Lisete e o Américo poderão explicar melhor o que estamos a fazer e onde poderemos e onde queremos chegar. Muito obrigado.
Thank you so much, Henrique. Indeed, this is a very social complex problem. And now, as we have already Maria Elias from the European Commission, I will ask her to present the general context of this strand of ESF Plus program, and to focus her presentation in the social innovation practices to combat homelessness call. Let's see if this call is in line with to give some answers to these challenges that Mr. Enrique already shared with us. Maria, now the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes?
Perfectly.
So, Luisa, I will focus my presentation on the social innovation call and not on EaSI in general. If that's okay with you and with the...
Yeah, that is okay.
So, what I will do, I will show you a few slides with the call, with some information about the call. And then I think if we can dedicate the majority of my allotted time to speak to questions. I think many of you possibly have questions about this call, because judging from the response that I have gotten from across Europe to via our portal, there is many questions and inquiries about this call. We have received healthy amount of interest. People want to apply. So if you have any needs for clarification, now it's a good time. I just want to say that I will not be able to go beyond what is written in our call document. These are the rules and the procedure of the Commission. I cannot give you more information than what is already public, but perhaps I can explain and clarify some things that are not very clear. As we know, we are a bureaucracy, so perhaps our language is quite technical and bureaucratic. So I'm here to clarify our documents, our call documents. So let's see if this were. So I'm gonna share my screen. Does it work? Do you see my screen?
Not yet.
Now, do you see my screen now?
No?
No? Okay.
Or okay, now it's
Coming.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We see it.
Okay. Is it okay now? Yes, I think now, yes. Sorry, I'm not I'm not used to Zoom. We don't never use Zoom. Okay, so this is an EaSI funded call on social innovation practices to combat homelessness. EaSI essentially is ESF plus because we are in the new financial framework. So EaSI has been included in the European Social Fund Plus for this financial framework that we are into now. So the idea and the need, the background of this call is our work in the context of the European Platform on Combating Homelessness. Enrique represents Portugal in the platform. And for those of you who are not familiar with our platform, essentially is a umbrella. I say umbrella, bringing together the member states and relevant stakeholders who are working in the homelessness area. So we are bringing them together under this European platform with the aim of working together, sharing experiences, learning from each other, and with the ultimate aim of pushing this goal which has been adopted over 2 years ago under the Portuguese presidency, the goal of reducing or eradicating as much as possible homelessness by the end of the decade. So this is the goal that we are working with. And within the platform, all stakeholders involved in the platform are bringing forward their own actions, their own initiatives towards reaching this goal. And this the social innovation call in homelessness is one of the contributions. We have other activities and other initiatives, but this is one of our contributions towards the Lisbon goal. And I would say it's one of our most financially intensive action, because as you will see in my presentation, we are really putting a big amount of money in this call. Just briefly about the platform. The work of our platform is cut, let's say, in 3 work strands. One is analytical, whereby we try to gather knowledge and data about homelessness, so to learn about this phenomenon. The second work strand is mutual learning, where we bring in together the member states, where we share, where the member states and the CSO and other stakeholders, whereby we share from each other, and the member states have an opportunity to learn from each other what has been going on in the fight against homelessness. And access to finance, and this is implemented through a access to finance subgroup where members are discussing ways to access EU funding for the fight against homelessness. The social innovation call, I would say, is encompasses all these 3 work strands, because as I will explain further, it's really we designed it in very quite broad to allow as many innovative projects, and we are really trying to, so to say, not to put too many barriers in terms of what type of projects we accept. We are quite, let's say, open to what we expect to fund. We just have 2 objectives. We want interesting, innovative projects that present interesting ideas that can be upscaled when it comes to fight against homelessness. So this is the first objective. And the second objective is we would also like projects that help develop the knowledge and the capabilities of those actors at the local level who are engaged in the fight against homelessness. So these are the two, let's say, broad objectives in terms of what we expect from the projects proposed. Now, this is a bit texty, and because it concerns the very important part of eligibility. So who is eligible to apply? And this is also the aspect of the call eligibility, where we have received most of questions for clarifications. So I can explain a bit now, but if you have questions, I can further clarify. So you can potential applicants can apply as alone or part of a consortium, but it's really important to understand that this is an EU-funded project, so we fund transnationality. So we do not fund local only initiatives. This is why we are looking to fund organizations that span across member states. So for those who apply as alone, as a sole applicant, we expect them to be a network covering at least 14 eligible countries. Okay, if you apply via a consortium, then this is a bit more complicated, and I had a lot of questions here. But if in a consortium we have an applicant who is a national organization, then at least two of the co-applicants have to be from 2 different member states. So this includes 3 member states. Do you have questions now, or should I go through and then at the end you have we can open for questions? Okay, so I can move on.
Maybe in the end, Maria.
Maybe in the end. Okay.
I'm sorry if I may say, your presentation has these blocks that are covering the words. So probably, I don't know if you could unshare and share again, because we can't see part of the presentation in each slide.
Okay. Okay, so if you okay. Okay, so now I stopped sharing and now I share again.
Yeah, we can try. Yeah, the same thing happens, but yeah.
Maybe
like a bug.
Maybe the AP Portugal can share the presentation of
Is this
Maria.
okay now? What do you think?
It's better.
It's better, yeah.
Yeah, I just played a bit with the settings of Zoom. So okay. Okay, so this is about the eligibility, who's eligible to apply, and it's also important to note that the activities of the Yes, I think somebody else is sharing, no? Now my presentation.
Yeah, it's perfect
No,
now.
it's perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and so it's important. So we ask for this transnationality because the activities of the project of the awarded projects have to be implemented in at least 3 member states. So this is again all projects funded by the Commission fund transnationality. So pan-European partnerships. Okay, next slide. And another important aspect is that those who apply must be active, must prove via their statutes that they are active in homelessness. In the case of a consortium, the majority of the applicants must be active, so their core business must be in the homelessness area. one of the particularities about our call is that we allow for regranting. So this is an option, it's not obligatory, but because the budget of the call is quite big and we expect to fund projects quite, you know, that could amount to millions of euros, we also allow for the possibility for the grantee to regrant. So to pass further the funds to, let's say, for instance, local projects, small initiatives, who would actually implement and the final project. These regranting, these grants which could be regranting are not big. They are 60,000 per sub-grant, and this is just because our financial regulation puts this limit on us. And in order to regrant, the grantee must, you know, follow a procedure, must publish a call, and must regrant this money in a transparent way. And all this is explained in the call document. But this is an option. It's not obligatory. Next slide, please. So we have 15 million total, and we would like to fund proposals ranging between 2 and 5 million. This is why, because we don't want to have many small projects, but a few good and a few projects that are able to sort of like do some substantial work in this regard. The deadline, so some other practicalities, the deadline is mid-December. I have received calls from potential applicants to extend this deadline. Again, I think given the interest in the call, and this is something that I cannot, you know, say that the deadline will be extended, but it's something that we are looking seriously into. And if this happens, we will let our stakeholders know. So we aim to sign the grants before this, by May, June next year, and start implementing afterwards. So for me, this is it. The next slides are not, yes, that's yeah. So this is, yeah, this is at the I put it at the end because I was not necessarily going to show it. But I just, because some people ask me how does regranting works, and this is the regranting scheme. So but I just put it at the end after the thank you slide because I was not gonna show it unless somebody asks me specifically. So I think for me, this is it. If you have questions, I will be happy to try to answer them. If not, you can also write to the functional email address, which is listed in the call document, if that is more comfortable for you.
Hello, may I have a question? I am István Sziklai from Hungary, Budapest, actually.
Hello.
As far as I understand, only possible to apply as a member of an umbrella organization. Am I correct in that way?
If you are a sole applicant, if you apply only as one applicant, then you have to be a part of an umbrella organization or a network of something, of, you know, local authorities, regional authorities. And I'm just going now to the text of the call document. So that is only if you're a sole applicant.
Yeah, and that means also that we need definitely partners from other European countries. if I'm correct.
Well,
Sorry,
but if you are a sole applicant, then you can be based in one member state, but since you are a network, you are covering several countries, and do you understand?
Yeah, I understand, but this is not in our case. So we were definitely searching for partners, probably, regarding this application. I understand.
So then you want to apply as a consortium.
Yeah, yes, that's an option, if it's possible.
So if you are a national organization,
yes, NGO, non-governmental organizations.
yes,
yeah.
Then you must find 2 more NGOs from
And
2
three of
different
us as a
countries.
consortium could apply. I understand.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And I can, if you want, I can show. Do you want me to show you? I can share the screen with the call document if you want, and I can explain to you.
No. I will find my way, I guess, in that way. That's the only question is to find partners, and this is an urgent issue as far as I understand the deadline. So that's.
Yes, and I do hope that we will extend the deadline, because in my view, and what I see is that for this kind of projects, people would, also are willing to work, for instance, over the end of the year holidays, so
yeah.
If we manage to extend the deadline, I will write an email to Luisa, and then she can inform everybody in this call.
Very kind. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, really.
Thank you. And good luck.
Yes, Anna-Lena here from Sweden. Just a question on the re-granting, small detail just. But the form of the re-granting, could that be in the form of a lump sum from the project promoter to these small projects, or does it have to follow the same budget model as the project itself?
What do you mean? So you will fund, so if you get the grant and then you will want to pass it over, it's up to you with the type of projects that you fund.
Yes, and
so
could the monetary transaction, could that be in the form of a lump sum? So you pay for a delivery of a report or something like that, rather than receipts and bookkeeping.
Okay, yeah, yes. This I don't know this, but I can, if you want, I can. If you write me in the chat your email, I can write to you.
Yeah, thank you.
But I don't think that this is for now. Actually, this is not something that would influence your application, because this is for later. This is if you, for instance, you apply and you get the grant. This is for later with the financial with our financial team. This is not something that you have to already foresee in the application. We are not asking this degree of detail, actually.
No, I understand. I'm already ahead in the process.
Yes. I mean, this is not this is not for now. And I think if you look in because the application is online and it's with the form, this is not an information that you need to provide at this moment in time, and we are not asking for this degree of detail.
No, thank you.
We have 2 more questions. Mr. Enrique.
Hi, Maria. Good morning.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry, I talk in Portuguese. Queria reforçar o pedido e a necessidade de a Comissão, de facto, nos dar um prazo maior, pelo menos o mês de janeiro, porque, de facto, o objetivo deste webinar era perceber a call, mas também colocar a questão, como o parceiro da Hungria estava a colocar, pormos as potenciais organizações interessadas em contacto umas com as outras para se conhecerem e para pensarem o projeto. E como já estamos a meio de novembro, o mês de dezembro não vai ser suficiente. Portanto, era só reforçar o pedido, deixá-lo já feito e pensassem com muito com muito carinho, como dizemos em Portugal, nessa possibilidade. Obrigado.
So you are asking me about partnerships? About
No, I ask for more time.
for more time.
Yes.
So I cannot tell you that there will be more time because it would not be whether we have more time, because it would not be fair for all the potential applicants. So it's not fair for me to tell this group, hey, you have more time.
Yeah. I know.
But
I
you're
only
in the
asked
platform,
for...
Enrique, and and also this is not necessarily my decision, my boss's, if we have the decision to extend, which we are considering very seriously, then of
Okay.
course, Enrique, you will find out via the mailing list of the platform.
Yeah.
And now, based on what you're telling me, it's even more of a impetus for me to push for this deadline extension.
Yes, this is the point. Please.
Yes.
Please.
Yes. Very, very, very well taken. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Enrique. Now, David.
And I know this name.
David,
because I think you also
Hello.
wrote to us, right?
Yes, I am David from Barcelona. Thank you very much for your presentation. So we had a question regarding the consortium, because we have a bit of a particular case where we are a managing entity that would be has framework agreements with different social services providers. So would it be okay to present a project as beneficiaries, but we're not a social services provider, but we would be in framework agreements with two social services providers as partners, and then we would have two more partners in the consortium as beneficiaries. So we would have a main beneficiary, then two affiliated entities that are social services providers, and then we would have two more entities that are as beneficiaries. But would we be okay to lead the proposal then, even though we're not a social services provider?
But what are you?
So we are a foundation.
So let me just, first of all, I don't want to tell you, yes, you can apply like this. Do you understand? It's not I'm not allowed to say, yes, apply, yes, you are eligible. Do you understand? Because it's not this assessment, the commission does this assessment after it receives the project. Do you understand? So I cannot say, yes, so, but just clarify to me what type of entity you are.
So we are a foundation that mainly does we manage research projects and European projects. So we usually present projects to the EaSI in different calls, but not in EaSI. So that's why we had this doubt that if we could present, because we're not a research entity.
You are a foundation, like an NGO, yes. Like a non-profit.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then you're from Portugal, and you're a nationally based. And then you have to find two more partners from two different other member states, and then you will be three, and you can apply. But out of these three, two have to be working in homelessness.
Okay.
Because the majority have to be working in to be active in homelessness. The majority. So if you're three, the majority means two.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yes, I can take the next question.
Hi, my name is Maria from Portugal. I have one very practical question, because you were telling about if we apply in a consortium, we need to have at 3 member states, but that's at least, right? We can have more.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Just one more question about, because the United Kingdom.
Sorry, I just want to say that you can be minimum 2, because if So the idea is that the activities of this call should be implemented in minimum 3 member states. So, but if you are the entities, if you are an entity that could apply for as a single applicant, so if you are a network or an umbrella and you want to be in a consortium, then you could be in a consortium with only 2 partners, because you are already a network or an umbrella that covers minimum 14 countries. Then you would, to be a consortium, you could have only 1 more partner, because the 3 member states where the activities should be implemented are already covered. Do you understand?
Okay, yes.
So if, let's say the lead applicant is an umbrella or a network, and they want to partner for a consortium, they can have only one more partner to be a consortium. So that makes 2, because the possibility to implement in 3 is already covered, because the lead applicant is a network that has access to. Do you understand?
Yes, yes.
If nevertheless you are a national organization, let's say a national NGO, okay, this is only active in Portugal, then you need to have at least 2 more partners from 2 other member states in order to cover the 3 member states where the activities should be implemented. Do you understand?
Okay. Yes.
So
yes.
of course
Yes.
you could be more than this, but minimum 2 in the case of a umbrella, or minimum 3 in the case of national entities.
Okay. Okay. Just one more question. Is the United Kingdom eligible for the re-grant?
So I had a question yesterday, and I sent it to relevant colleagues, because I don't want to give a yes or a no. You know, it's very, I don't know but I don't think so, to be honest. I don't think so. I don't know all the details of but no, I actually, my answer is no, because they don't participate in the European Social Fund Plus, and this is a European Social Fund Plus funded project, so we don't have the UK in any ESF Plus activities. But nevertheless, I'm double checking this with relevant people, because I don't want to give so if you write your email, I can, but you want the UK as a beneficiary?
Yes, potentially, because we have a very close partner from the UK that already works in this field. So
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. What I'm also checking now is, you know, we have this, if you read the core document, we have this option of associated partners, which are not beneficiaries, and they would not receive money, but they can, you know, implement activities, they can do stuff for the projects, but they would not receive money. So I'm checking now whether a UK organization can participate as associated.
Okay.
Where they would not be a beneficiary, but if you write your email in the chat,
I will.
Okay,
thank you.
Good. Yes, I can take the next question.
Yes, I appear here on the screen. I believe I'm the next. Thank you for your presentation. My doubt is about the re-grant. That means that if an extra organization coming to the project is not considered a partner, is like a grantee that already submitting the grants requests some organization or organizations to re-grant them. And the idea is for them to do this social innovation experimentation. Am I right?
So let's assume that you are applying and you are getting, I don't know, 3 million, you apply for 3 million, you receive 3 million, you are our grantee. So we work with you.
Yeah.
And then in your project application, you say, okay, 2 million, I would pass to, I don't know, local hospitals or local homeless shelters, you know, and for them to do such and such.
And you already have to say which organization or organizations are.
It's very, you don't have to say which organization. So we don't ask this detail in the application form. We ask more like you to have an idea of what you want to have to do with the money and to whom you want to give it. You don't have to say, I will give it to the municipality of Lisbon. Or I will give it to to this and this villages. No, no, you have to give. I will give it to local and local municipalities for them to. Not to build a shelter because we don't want to but to experiment job training for, do you understand? You have to know what you do with the money, but you don't have to be like to give the whole detailed information. And I think this is also written in the document. But we do expect, you have to have a transparent way of giving this money. It's not like, you understand, it has to be fair, transparent, and yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will continue with that because Teresa here from the Swedish EaSI Council, the National Contact Point for the EaSI. I think the question as I hear, it's like it was clear in the presentation that that you can be a sole applicant and it has to be an umbrella organization, and a network would cover that. And also, if you're a national applicant, it should be a consortium, and then you need two more member states. But when it comes with the passing the grant, then I think it's a little bit tricky, because as I understand the question is, and you explained very well that you just need to say, for example, because you can pass the grants in the funds to the local initiative projects, and it could be, for example, municipalities. But the question my colleague had, I also had that, is because then it means that in the budget, do you need to specify something about the re-granting? That's the question too, because then the applicants need to know beforehand.
Yes, I understand. Yes, and this is you say that in the budget, if you specify re-granting in the budget, this is a bit tricky. This is your yes.
Yeah, if they have to specify or not.
So you should yes. So initially this call was designed with mandatory re-granting. Okay. It was mandatory, and then when we were drafting, it just seemed like this is an unnecessary burden to make re-granting mandatory. Even when I was writing the call, I asked, well, how it's not you have to be a certain powerful and experienced organization to be able to redo re-granting. So this is why now re-granting is optional, because it's not common, let's say, for an applicant, and it's not common for the type of applicants that we want, right? To have this capability to redo and knowledge to redo re-granting. So if you have a specific question about the budget, how this would be reflected in the budget, I suggest, because it's very theoretical also for me too, I suggest you start filling the form, because everything is standard, and then if you get to a point, then you ask and you see that you cannot handle the reflection of budget in the re-granting, then you write an email to the functional email address specifically. Do you understand?
Yes, I think it was more clear now, because you chose on the design of the call to not have a mandatory for re-granting, because re-grant actually makes a requirement for the administrative capacity of
Yes.
the project operator. So it was clear for me. Thank you.
Yes.
So no more questions? No? So I give the floor to Teresa.
So that's it for me. Yes. Thank you. And good luck to everybody who wants to apply.
Thank you. Anna-Lena, I think it was you that is going to introduce our next presenter.
Yes, well, thank you, and thank to the previous speakers as well. And now we will come back to the different national strategies on combating homelessness. So we invite the Swedish strategist, Anna Nerelius and Anna Lindskog, from the National Board of Health and Welfare in Sweden. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. At first, I'm going to share my screen. So you can tell me if you see it.
Yes,
it looks good.
Very good.
Very good. Yes, hello everyone. My name is Anna Nerelius, and as Anna-Lena said, I work at the Swedish National Board of Health and Welfare. And with me today is my colleague Anna Lindskog. Yes, do you want to say something first, Anna?
I can just say hello so you can hear that my speaker is working. Hi.
Yes, I hear you very well. And today we are going to talk about the Swedish government's strategy to combat homelessness, and also about main challenges and priority areas in the field of homelessness in Sweden from our perspective. But first, I'm going to say something about the National Board and about their responsibility for healthcare and social services in Sweden. The National Board of Health and Welfare is a national government agency that works with both healthcare and social services. And we work with many tools, from regulations to guidelines, government grants, monitoring, evaluation, and nationwide wide databases. And we also provide support for both governance and knowledge-based guidance. So that was something about us. I also want to say something about the responsibility for healthcare and social services in Sweden. The Swedish healthcare and social system is decentralized, and it's public funded, with shared responsibilities between the national level, the 21 regions, and the 290 municipalities on the local level. And the national level provides legislation, monitoring, and education and training. And there are support and supervision through government agencies and authorities, like us at the National Board. And the 21 regions are responsible for, among others, healthcare delivery. And the 290 municipalities are responsible for, among other, social services, including services for individuals and families. And the municipalities have the main responsibility for housing provision. And the Social Service Act stipulates that the social services in each municipality are responsible for offering support and help needed. Yes, and now we're going to talk about the strategy. In July last year, the Swedish government adopted a new strategy to combat homelessness, and it applies until 2026. And the purpose of the national strategy is to clarify the focus of the government's initiatives to reduce the number of adults and children experiencing homelessness, and to prevent people from becoming homeless. The strategy is based on the report on combating and preventing homelessness that we at the National Board presented to the government in September 2021. The strategy is primarily focused on the social services and what they can do to reduce homelessness. The National Board got the most of the assignments in the strategy, but two other actors have assignments, namely the County Administrative Boards and the Enforcement Authority. And here you can see the 4 objectives in the strategy. The first one is homelessness should be prevented. The other one is no one should live on the streets. The third one is the housing first method should be introduced naturally. And the last one is that the social perspective in community planning should be strengthened. Yes, based on these objectives in the strategy, the government has also given a number of concrete assignments. Since the focus of the strategy is on social services, as I said before, the National Board has received most of the assignments. So we are going to coordinate efforts towards all the objectives of the strategy. That means, among others, that we shall cooperate with other authorities and actors in the field of homelessness. Another of our missions is that we are going to plan and carry out a national homelessness mapping this year. And the last national mapping in Sweden was carried out in 2017. And this year's mapping will be presented the 1st of February in next year. And we also have a mission to map and analyze how the municipalities use emergency housing solutions. The Housing First mission in the strategy is divided in 2 parts. The first one is that we announce government grants to municipalities that want to start or expand or improve their Housing First programs. And before the strategy came, there was 34 municipalities in Sweden that had a Firsting House program in their municipality. And that is only 15% of the municipalities. The state grants will increase the number of municipalities that offer Housing First to their residents. The grant is announced annually during the strategy period. So in 2023, 102 municipalities received grants to the amount of 70 million Swedish crowns. The other part of the Housing First mission is to constitute a national support for the implementation and development of the Housing First approach to the municipalities. So, as I said before, apart from the National Board, 2 other actors have missions in the strategy, and that is the County Administrative Boards and the Enforcement Authority. So the count administrative boards shall support knowledge and method development in the municipalities and promote exchange of experience on effective methods and good examples to prevent evictions and to combat homelessness. And they are also going to support the municipalities to analyze and to report how the housing market in the municipality looks like. And the enforcement authority shall ensure that eviction prevention cooperation is established with the social services and landlords in all municipalities. And they have a special focus on families with children. And now we are going to give a short introduction of homelessness in Sweden. And we start by the definition of homelessness in Sweden. The National Board defines homelessness based on 4 different housing solutions, as you can see here. And the first situation is acute homelessness. That means, for example, people sleeping in public spaces or outdoors, or in stairwells or in emergency housing, shelters, protected housing, or hostels. The second situation is institution or assisted living. And that means correctional facility, institutional care, placement or housing in assisted living facility, and with discharge scheduled within 3 months and you have no place to go. The third situation is a long-term housing solution. And by that means accommodation that is organized by the social services. And the last and third situation is self-organized short-term housing. And that can be lodging with friends or family, or subletting without a contract or with a temporary contract. And now I leave the word to you, Anna.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for the introduction to the different homelessness situations that we use when we map and survey homelessness in Sweden. And the National Board of Health and Welfare, we conduct a homelessness mapping or survey approximately every 6 years. And as you said, Anna, the latest one was conducted in April this year, but unfortunately, it won't be public until the 1st of February, so we can't give you the new numbers today, but we are eagerly looking forward to them. So this is the numbers from the latest homelessness mapping that was made and was carried out in 2017, so 6 years ago then. In this mapping, approximately 33,000 people were mapped. And in the pie chart on the right, you can see the relationship between the different homelessness situations that Anna described and how it was spread in 2017. And as you can see, half of the people included in the 2017 survey lived in some form of long-term housing solution accommodated by the social services. And also in situation 1, acute homelessness, it was about 6,000 people. So we're very eager now to see the new numbers from this year. So, Anna, I'm going to have to ask you to change slide as you have the control. Thank you. And a little bit more about the homelessness mapping in 2017. 62% of the people that were in that survey were men. 43% were born outside of Sweden. A third were parents with children under 18 years of age. And more than 20% were reported as having no needs other than housing. so to speak, no needs from the social services when it came to support, intervention, or treatment, except the fact that they by themselves couldn't get access to the housing market. And for almost 20%, eviction from their home, the prior home, was reported as a contributing factor to their homelessness. And financial assistance was the single most common source of income for people experiencing homelessness in this survey. And just under 10% had wages from regular or temporary work. Okay, next slide, please. So if we look at some of the main challenges in Sweden when it comes to homelessness, there is a housing shortage in Sweden in general. If we look at the statistics from the Swedish National Board of Housing, Building and Planning, which in Swedish means Boverket, we could see that at the beginning of 2023, 62% of Sweden's 290 municipalities reported lack of housing, and especially lack of access to rental accommodations for people with low income. And of course, as I guess it is in all countries, the demand for housing is greatest in the municipalities' central locations, the bigger towns, where 73% of the municipalities in Sweden state that there is a housing shortage in their major towns. We can also see that after a couple of years with decreasing evictions, it started turning up again. So there is an increase in evictions from 2021 and 2022. And this is, of course, especially serious for families with children. And if we look at the half-year statistics from the enforcement authority, Kronofogden, 345 children were affected by eviction in the first half of 2023. And this is an increase of 28% compared to the same time last year. So this is something that we think we have to look closer into. Yes, and as we look at some challenges for the social services, as Anna said, few municipalities offer housing first. And even if they do offer housing first, only a few people get access to the initiative. And this is, I would guess, mainly due to a lack of suitable and affordable apartments. And as Enrique said earlier, no organization can solve the homelessness problem by themselves, and neither can the social services. So collaboration is needed. Homelessness is, as you all know, a multifaceted problem and can be traced back to both structural and individual factors. And the responsibility and measures to reduce homelessness are therefore needed to be shared by several areas and levels in society. But the social services has an important function in preventing and counteracting people being homeless, but cannot solve the problem by themselves. Next slide, please. Okay, some priority areas for the social services. The National Board of Health and Welfare has been tasked by the government to analyze and come up with action proposals for the part of homelessness relating to the responsibility and area of the social services. And here are some of the priority areas that we reported back to the government. Well, there needs to be an increased outreach work aimed at people who are homeless in Sweden or are at risk of ending up homeless. We need to stimulate the development of local eviction prevention, preferably together with landlords and with guidance from the enforcement authority. We need to support municipalities' introduction to housing first. And as Anna said, there is now government grants that you can apply for in order to increase the number of people enrolled and also increase compliance to the model. We need to focus on long-term housing solutions in general. And persons who have been in sheltered accommodation due to exposure to violence must be able to transfer to permanent accommodation. And we need to strengthen the cooperation between the municipalities, social services, and the community planning. And also strengthen cooperation with the civil society. So that was a short introduction to the national strategy and some of the priority areas in Sweden. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great presentation, Anna Nerelius and Anna Lindskog. There are some similarities between the Swedish strategy and the Portuguese strategy, namely
Yes.
the focus on housing first, with some differences in the implementation. And now we open the floor to questions to both strategists. Any questions for Enrique Joaquim or Anna Nerelius and Anna Lindskog? Any question? No questions?
Perfect. It was all crystal clear.
Because we have still time before we go to the comfort break. But if there is no questions, I suggest that we stop now and have a 15 minutes of comfort break. And we start at Portuguese time at 10:45 and at Swedish time 11:45 again. So have a nice comfort break. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So welcome back to the
Hello
workshop.
again.
Hello. We already had the presentation from Maria from the European Commission about call details. And we had also the presentation of the Portuguese national strategy to combat the homelessness, and the strategy from Sweden as well. So our following speakers will present promising practices that have been developed or implemented within Portugal and Sweden. So our first speaker is Américo Nave, that is implementing a Housing First project from Crescer Association. That is a project here based in Portugal. So, Américo, are you ready? The floor is yours.
Bom dia, penso que me estão a ouvir. Muito obrigado pelo convite para estar aqui hoje e para poder apresentar o modelo de Housing First, e gostava também depois de referir um outro projeto de integração pelo trabalho de uma forma muito breve. Eu vou tentar partilhar aqui a minha tela. Penso que já é possível ver a minha apresentação.
Yes.
Então, a Crescer é uma NGO que tem 22 anos de experiência, que trabalha com pessoas que estão em situação de grande vulnerabilidade e trabalhamos especialmente na área da Grande Lisboa, em Portugal. A nossa filosofia de intervenção é uma filosofia de redução de riscos, é uma filosofia humanista, no fundo, são as pessoas que dizem quais são os seus objetivos, nós só tentamos ajudar que essas pessoas atinjam esses mesmos objetivos e trabalhamos pelas competências que essas pessoas têm e olhamos pelo lado, tentamos olhar sempre pelo lado mais positivo, e as pessoas com quem trabalhamos são nossos parceiros nesse caminho. Nós trabalhamos essencialmente com pessoas que consomem substâncias psicoativas, pessoas que estão em situação sem abrigo, refugiados, migrantes, e temos uma quarta área, que são os negócios sociais. Portanto, é assim que nós dividimos a nossa organização. Nós começámos em 2001 a trabalhar com equipas de rua, de outreach, que vai ao encontro das pessoas, que trabalha com as pessoas nos contextos em que elas se encontram, muitas vezes em bairros de consumo, em zonas mais escondidas, onde muitas vezes estas pessoas estão numa situação de grande isolamento, mesmo estando nas ruas. Vou então agora falar um bocadinho até falar um pouco mais até de como nasceu o nosso projeto e como fomos progredindo em Lisboa e até a nível nacional. Em 2011, 2012 aproximadamente, o Presidente da Câmara de Lisboa, por acaso é agora o Primeiro-Ministro de Portugal, mas na altura era o Presidente da Câmara de Lisboa, mudou o seu gabinete para uma zona histórica da cidade de Lisboa, onde era uma zona onde existia um grande número de pessoas a viver em situação sem abrigo e um número grande de pessoas a consumir substâncias psicoativas a céu aberto. O que se pretendia o que o Presidente pretendia naquela altura era a requalificação daquele bairro, que envolvesse todas as organizações e todos os stakeholders daquela comunidade, daquele contexto, e por isso nós fomos envolvidos, porque trabalhávamos ali enquanto equipa de rua, desenvolver um plano de desenvolvimento comunitário e que fosse feito um diagnóstico social. Nesse diagnóstico social, o que foi apresentado é que existiam muitas pessoas numa situação de extrema vulnerabilidade física e psicológica. Um grande número de pessoas consumiam substâncias psicoativas numa situação de extrema exclusão, e que muitas vezes não aderiam às estruturas existentes. Qual é que era o problema que se apresentava? Era que as pessoas não aderiam aos serviços, muitas vezes aos centros de abrigo, a outras respostas que foram criadas para estas pessoas, não aderiam a programas de tratamento, muitas vezes estavam numa situação de que nós chamamos de porta giratória, entrar em vários programas e continuavam a sair e mantinham-se sempre na mesma situação de sem-abrigo. No fundo, consideravam que as respostas não estavam adequadas às suas necessidades. O que é que nós ouvíamos em reuniões que participávamos, mesmo com outras equipas, muitas vezes o próprio sistema que tinha sido criado para responder a estas pessoas dizia que as pessoas não queriam sair da rua, que tinham problemas de saúde mental, que não podíamos ajudar todas as pessoas, e que estas pessoas não sabiam sequer viver numa casa. Também foi sempre filosofia da Crescer, até devido também aos fundadores da Crescer e pela formação que já tinham tido com outras ONGs, com os seus tutores, que não são as pessoas que estão que não estão bem, são as respostas que não estão ajustadas às pessoas. Nós partimos sempre deste princípio. Se as pessoas não estão, se continuam numa situação de vulnerabilidade, e se existem respostas, então é as respostas que não estão adequadas às necessidades das pessoas, e não são as pessoas que não se conseguem adaptar às respostas, e partimos sempre deste princípio. Este princípio levou-nos a ter contacto com o modelo do Housing First, em que estava o público-alvo era as pessoas que estavam em situação sem abrigo, em situação de pobreza, de grande exclusão, pessoas que consumiam substâncias psicoativas, pessoas que podiam ter problemas de saúde mental, que estavam isoladas, que tinham situações traumáticas, e quando nós olhávamos para o diagnóstico que tinha sido feito nesta zona da cidade, percebíamos que este modelo se adequava e se adaptava precisamente às necessidades destas pessoas e ao contexto em que estas pessoas se encontravam. Bem, eu vou passar, porque eu penso, se calhar, que muitas das pessoas que estão aqui conhecem o modelo de Housing First, não me vou alongar muito sobre o modelo, mas foi criado pelo Sam Berries, que tivemos o prazer de ter estado aqui connosco esta última semana. Desenvolvemos um congresso aqui, mesmo com este tema Housing First and Harm Reduction, estes últimos 3 dias, e tivemos a oportunidade de ter aqui o Sam Berries connosco. O Housing First foi criado nos Estados Unidos, depois estendeu-se ao Canadá, à Europa, e neste momento até na Austrália e na Nova Zelândia. Foi implementado pela primeira vez em Portugal em 2009, e o nosso projeto surge em 2013, neste contexto que acabei de referir. Não vou também aqui, pronto, isto é um bocadinho um modelo que pretende erradicar as situações de que estão em situação sem abrigo, e os casos crónicos, os casos mais complexos, são as pessoas que têm mais indicação para este mesmo museu. No fundo, este museu, e mesmo pela nossa experiência, responde muito bem àquelas situações, àqueles casos em que muitas vezes se diz que há pessoas que não saem da rua, há pessoas que têm uma situação de grande complexidade, e a nossa experiência isto é um museu, mas nós temos demonstrado isto na prática, que responde muito bem àquelas situações que outras respostas não conseguiram ajudar. Portanto, parte do princípio como a casa, que é um direito básico. Eu gostava de referir também que partimos do princípio, ou que muitas vezes falamos como o direito à habitação, é importante pensarmos que o direito à habitação não é só dar um abrigo. O direito à habitação tem outras variáveis, como a privacidade, como muitas vezes até o tipo de estrutura e o tipo de habitação que estamos a dar às pessoas. Portanto, o housing first, como todos, ou a maioria das pessoas sabe, portanto, o que pretende é que as pessoas saiam diretamente da rua para a habitação e que ultrapasse este passo em que as pessoas muitas vezes tinham que aderir a tratamentos, tinham que aderir a consultas de saúde, a consultas de tratamento de adição. Não há qualquer condicionalismos para que as pessoas entrem numa casa. O que o museu defende é que tudo começa pela habitação e depois é tudo muito mais fácil no trabalho, nos problemas ou nas necessidades que as pessoas encontram. Aqui só de referir também esta questão do museu de Housing First, que é um museu em que as casas são independentes, são a longo termo e são dispersas pelas cidades. Muitas vezes também temos deparado...
Com a Suécia, e o pessoal fala português.
Bem, penso que se calhar alguém ligou o micro sem querer. Eu acho que isso é importante porque muitas vezes, cada vez mais ouvimos falar de housing first e muitas vezes não cumprem estes critérios das casas serem individuais, do tempo não ter um limite e serem dispersas pelas cidades. É este o modelo que nós desenvolvemos na cidade de Lisboa. Portanto, temos uma equipa de apoio 24 horas, 365 dias. As pessoas, quando entram na habitação, assinam um protocolo com a organização que se cumprem com 6 visitas por mês e a partir do momento que tenham qualquer tipo de rendimento, têm que pagar 30% desse rendimento. Os princípios do housing first, como o direito à habitação, o respeito pelas necessidades e pelos objetivos de cada pessoa e pela sua opinião, as casas dispersas pela cidade, a separação do housing first e dos serviços da comunidade. É importante que as pessoas frequentem os serviços da sua própria comunidade. Os inquilinos são pessoas que fazem parte ativa do próprio projeto, que é importante ouvir e ir ao encontro da sua voz e do que pretendem para a sua vida e para o próprio projeto. Tem como objetivo uma orientação para o recovery e é um projeto de redução de riscos e minimização de danos. Bem, então nós começámos o nosso projeto em 2013 com um projeto piloto de 7 casas num bairro histórico e da cidade de Lisboa. Quando nós implementámos este projeto, posso dizer que grande parte das pessoas, muitos especialistas até que tínhamos reunido aqui em Lisboa, diziam que não era possível estas pessoas viverem em casa e diziam: Américo, isso vai ser um problema, pessoas que estão muitas vezes com situação de duplo diagnóstico, com delírios, com alucinações, não conseguem viver numa habitação. O nosso projeto é elegível para pessoas que estejam em situação crónica de sem-abrigo, pessoas que consumam substâncias psicoativas, heroína, cocaína, benzodiazepinas, álcool ou outras, que venham de uma situação de extrema vulnerabilidade. Essa é quando nos perguntam como é que vocês escolhem uma pessoa intermitente de outra que esteja numa situação sem abrigo. Quanto mais vulnerável é a sua situação, mais indicação tem para entrar no nosso projeto. E penso que isso fez toda a diferença quando nós implementámos o projeto, porque nós integramos no projeto realmente os casos que eram mais disruptivos naquela comunidade, que toda a gente conhecia, o Presidente da Câmara conhecia, o Presidente de Junta de Freguesia conhecia, a polícia conhecia, todos os stakeholders da comunidade conhecia e conheciam pela razão de que aquelas pessoas estavam naquela situação há 20 anos e que não, alguns casos há 20, 30 anos, e que não havia respostas para estas pessoas. E eu penso que isto teve um grande impacto quando nós integramos estas pessoas que estavam numa situação de maior vulnerabilidade e passado alguns meses, anos, e convidámos as pessoas a visitar as pessoas em casas e perceberam a mudança que tinha existido na sua inclusão na comunidade. O nosso museu, portanto, há uma sinalização para a nossa equipa. Esta equipa vai ao terreno, avalia a situação, se é realmente uma situação para integrar o nosso projeto Housing First ou não. Tenta, se sim, tenta criar uma relação com esta pessoa e é a partir dessa relação que faz a transição da pessoa diretamente para uma casa e que mantém um apoio com esta pessoa. À entrada da casa, como já tinha dito, é feito um protocolo com estas pessoas em que se comprometem, principalmente com duas regras, que é que têm que receber 6 visitas por mês na casa e que as pessoas, quando entram na casa, a maior parte delas não têm qualquer tipo de rendimentos, e isso não é uma condicionante para que as pessoas possam entrar nas casas, mas a partir do momento que possam vir a ter qualquer tipo de rendimento, pagar 30% desse mesmo rendimento. E os resultados que nós temos neste momento é que 90% destas pessoas não voltaram à situação sem abrigo. E também de referir uma coisa, que durante estes 10 anos de implementação do nosso projeto, nunca encontramos uma pessoa que não tivesse aceito uma casa, uma habitação, em que é uma habitação em que as pessoas podem fazer as suas próprias regras, em que têm uma chave, podem fechar a porta, sentirem-se seguras, e nós podemos, neste momento temos 140 casas na cidade de Lisboa e podemos trabalhar de 140 formas diferentes, porque as casas são individuais e podemos ajustar a nossa intervenção a estas mesmas pessoas. Indicar aqui, também de referir que a média de anos de rua destas pessoas são 14 anos. O que nós fazemos é visitas às casas, podemos ajudar as pessoas na arrumação da casa, no contacto com as estruturas de saúde, com as estruturas da comunidade, a ajudar na regularização da documentação quando isso é uma necessidade, a promoção, nós damos muita atenção a isto, que haja relação com os vizinhos, relação com a vizinhança em que as pessoas estejam inseridas, seja os vizinhos, seja as pessoas da loja, do supermercado, do centro de saúde, é muito importante para nós. Também dizer que fazemos reuniões com os inquilinos de 15 em 15 dias, é uma reunião livre, que participa quem quer, mas é uma reunião também em que as pessoas falam muitas vezes da sua experiência de hoje viverem numa casa, e também é uma reunião que tentamos que as pessoas sejam políticos e que defendam e que discutam quais são as melhores políticas para eles próprios e isso pensamos que também é muito importante para que as pessoas se sintam incluídas na comunidade. Tentamos que as pessoas tenham acesso à comida, ao suporte social. Isto também há um trabalho aqui de redução de riscos e minimização de danos de harm reduction no nosso trabalho, que passa muitas vezes desde o teste de doenças infecciosas, pelo o controle de consumo de álcool, pelo acesso a programas de metadona de baixo limiar, todo o trabalho, se as pessoas necessitam de consumir substâncias, a equipa distribui material ascético para consumo, há sempre uma lógica de trabalho de redução de riscos e minimização de danos. Também, não me vou alongar também nestes termos, nestas questões, mas há aqui um trabalho da gestão do consumo de álcool, alguns dos nossos técnicos da nossa equipa que se têm cada vez mais especializado na gestão do consumo do álcool e no consumo de substâncias psicoativas. Também a perspectiva do Trauma Informed Care, que para nós é bastante importante e também cada vez mais a nossa equipa tem esta perspectiva e temos cada vez mais vindo a especializar nestas áreas para darmos um maior apoio e suporte a todos os nossos inquilinos. Quando nós olhamos para os resultados, em que podemos ver aqui azul escuro as pessoas quando estavam em situação de sem-abrigo e azul claro as pessoas integradas no housing first. E percebemos, por exemplo, aqui em relação mais ao controle do consumo de substâncias, que em relação à heroína, à cocaína, a canabinoides, a benzodiazepines, ao álcool, houve sempre uma redução do consumo das substâncias a partir do momento em que as pessoas entraram na casa. Esta também é a nossa experiência. Quando existe uma melhor condição de vida das pessoas, as pessoas também têm um maior controle sobre o consumo de substâncias psicoativas. Também perceber aqui o consumo de substâncias, o acesso a tratamento, aqui também azul claro quando as pessoas entraram no Housing First, o tratamento aqui a meio, quando dizemos tratamento é abstinência, e aqui o low threshold é o programa de metadona de baixo limiar. Também o acesso, independentemente de nunca ser uma condição para que as pessoas acedam a uma habitação, os resultados é que as próprias pessoas querem aderir aos programas de saúde, à medicação quando é necessária, seja medicação geral ou medicação mais para a saúde mental. Também aqui, a partir do momento que integraram a casa, as percentagens sobem claramente. Quem passou a ter, no fundo nós chamamos o gestor de casa, quando entrou, passou a estar numa casa ou quando estava em situação sem abrigo, quando começaram a ter algum rendimento depois de entrarem na casa, estavam numa situação de regular de documentação e o contacto com a família. Portanto, isto são alguns facilitadores também que nós, se calhar não vou dedicar muito a isto, mas facilitadores que nós entendemos que ajudam a convencer muitas vezes os decisores políticos a implementar este tipo de modelo nas cidades. Também dizer aqui que com a situação do Covid, na cidade de Lisboa passou-se de 80 casas para 340 casas de housing first só na cidade de Lisboa. O modelo de housing first passou também a ser política nacional, que não era quando nós iniciámos, e hoje desenvolvem-se em muitas cidades do país, e até recentemente começou a ser desenvolvido numa das ilhas de Portugal, nos Açores. Isto também gostaria de referir que este aumento se deveu a uma questão que foi nós convidarmos os decisores políticos a visitar o projeto, e quando os decisores políticos vinham visitar o projeto, essas reuniões eram mais com os próprios inquilinos do que com os dirigentes da Crescer ou com a equipa técnica da Crescer. E esse testemunho dos próprios inquilinos, em que testemunhavam o que é que tinha sido a sua vida até aí, em porta giratória, muitas vezes nos albergues, em respostas partilhadas, em comparação, em viver num modelo como o Housing First, convenceu claramente, pelo menos a nossa experiência, a que muitos decisores políticos, quando veio o Covid, em que se pedia a muitas pessoas para ficar em casa, aumentarem o apoio financeiro para que o projeto crescesse. Portanto, em comparação com outras respostas, o Housing First, as pessoas relatam uma melhor qualidade de vida, têm um maior cuidado com elas próprias, podem cuidar da sua casa, podem mudar o sofá, pôr uma fotografia da sua família, podem podem fazer a gestão da sua casa como bem entenderem, têm uma maior integração na comunidade, uma maior autonomia, um maior empowerment, podem chegar a um serviço e dar a sua morada sem existir qualquer estigma que aquela morada corresponde a uma pessoa que vem da situação sem abrigo, porque quando as casas são dispersas pela cidade, não há qualquer conexão entre aquela pessoa e a sua situação anterior, e há uma verdadeira integração na comunidade. Eu gostaria só de falar também aqui de um outro projeto que nós desenvolvemos desde 2019, em que integramos pessoas. Explicar aqui vou até contar um bocadinho a história também para se contextualizar muitas vezes o estigma que todos nós, incluindo a nós e a mim e a Crescer, temos em relação a estas pessoas. A Câmara Municipal de Lisboa, uma pessoa da Câmara veio a determinada altura perguntar se nós queríamos desenvolver, ter um restaurante para dar comida às pessoas em situação sem abrigo, e nós respondemos que era importante, era as pessoas em situação sem abrigo cozinharem para toda a sociedade. E na altura dizer, então vamos criar um restaurante onde podemos fazer comida simples, podemos fazer uns grelhados, e eu disse, não, então vamos convidar um chefe, um dos melhores chefes de Portugal, para que possa fazer comida fine dining, e que provamos que estas pessoas conseguem acompanhar as fichas técnicas que esse chefe vai fazer e que possa criar. E, portanto, temos aqui o nosso primeiro restaurante, que está muito perto de uma das avenidas mais caras da Europa, que é a Avenida da Liberdade, que fica mesmo no centro da cidade, que é frequentado por muitos turistas na nossa cidade, e onde trabalham pessoas que vieram da situação sem abrigo. Estas pessoas integram em primeiro lugar, durante um mês, a escola de hotelaria em Lisboa. Esta escola de hotelaria, dizer que é onde se formam todos os chefes, ou a maior parte dos chefes que trabalham em Portugal, formam-se nesta escola. As pessoas começam por ter um mês de formação nesta mesma escola, onde todos os chefes se formam. Depois tem uma formação com os nossos psicólogos, que trabalham muitas vezes o espírito de equipa e com a forma como se apresentam, e depois estão 4 a 6 meses on the job. Ao fim destes 4 a 6 meses on the job, passam para o mercado de trabalho, e desde o primeiro dia em que integram o projeto, desde a formação da escola de hotelaria até já estarem a trabalhar noutros restaurantes, são acompanhados por psicólogos e assistentes sociais que respondem muitas vezes a questões de saúde, a questões de habitação, a todas as questões, ou tentam responder a todas as questões que lhes possam provocar alguma instabilidade na sua integração profissional, porque o que nós também constatamos é que muitas vezes quando tentamos integrar estas pessoas numa situação profissional, são todas as outras variáveis que estão na sua condição de vulnerabilidade que impedem que estas pessoas possam manter o seu emprego. Isto foi em 2019, hoje aqui o exemplo de um restaurante em que já temos 5 restaurantes. Este é um almoço, está dentro de uma multinacional, de uma seguradora, que é a AGA. Servimos 250 almoços todos os dias e fazemos caterings desde a administração até simples coffee breaks. Aqui é uma mesa que tem capacidade para 200 pessoas, fizemos aqui o nosso jantar aqui do nosso congresso, e que faz eventos e que é a base de caterings que fazemos para companhias e para empresas. É uma esplanada que também fica numa das zonas mais nobres da nossa cidade, que é o Chiado, e que é uma esplanada no centro da cidade, e algumas fotos que é destas pessoas em casa a cozinharem para si, elas próprias a fazer a sua comida. Aqui, estas reuniões que eu estava a falar há pouco, de discussão com as pessoas, aqui uma das reuniões em que recebemos, aqui nesta situação, alguns decisores políticos da Câmara Municipal de Lisboa, e que estas reuniões, como tinha falado há pouco, contribuíram muito para que os decisores políticos entendessem a importância da habitação, a importância da habitação individualizada e dispersa pela cidade, sem qualquer estigma em relação a estas pessoas. As próprias pessoas também, como aconteceu agora nestes últimos dias, a participarem em congressos, a dar o seu testemunho. Aqui no Conselho de Ministros de 2021, a participarem, mesmo no Conselho de Ministros. O nosso restaurante fez o almoço do Conselho de Ministros, e, portanto, que é possível trabalharmos numa perspectiva sempre de puxarmos mais pelas competências destas pessoas, em vez de nos centrarmos nos problemas. Aqui uma foto com o Sr. Comissário Europeu, com a Sra. Ministra da Segurança Social em Portugal, e pronto, era isto que eu tinha a apresentar. Muito obrigado.
Muito obrigada, Américo, pela vossa apresentação. Thank you, Américo, for your presentation. And I will just do a recap, because now I will introduce our next speaker. And we heard Anna Nerelius and Anna Lindskog from the Swedish National Board of Health and Welfare when they presented the Swedish strategy for homelessness. They emphasize the purpose of the strategy in Sweden, that is to clarify the focus of the government's initiative to reduce the number of adults and children experience homelessness and to prevent people from becoming homeless. And that this is done by through several measures to combat homelessness and exclusion, such with prevention and outreach and measure against acute homelessness, and also with the focus on housing first. And they also presented that the situation among children in Sweden, that 345 children were affected by eviction in the first half of 2023. And homelessness and insecure housing conditions create insecurity, social problems, and ill health for groups and individuals, not at least for children and young people. So with that said, I would like to introduce our next guest, Sara Svensson, who will take a practical approach on how the Children Housing First project is connected to the strategy and what is done on the ground. Sara, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'll try to start sharing my screen here with you. So So thank you very much, Teresa. My name is Sarah Svensson. I work as a regional director for Save the Children Sweden. Sorry, this was not the first picture. Start for my presentation. And do you see also the Zoom? You see this as well, right? So I have to click you down because otherwise you will see yourselves. Yeah. So I work for Save the Children Sweden, over 100-year-old movement for children's rights, and we're based in several countries around the world. So I will tell you a little bit about Save the Children and then go into our model and work around the children's housing first in Sweden. Save the Children Sweden has grown to be the world's largest independent children's rights organization, and we're working as a powerful grassroots movement, advocating children's rights and championing children's rights every day. We work a rights-based approach with our members, our partners around the world, and also locally in the municipalities of Sweden. We want children to be included in our decision making and also in the policy making in the countries that we're working to influence matters which affect their lives. And therefore, we invite the children to participate in every project that we conduct in Sweden. The base of our work is the Convention on the Rights of the Child. We work with humanitarian interventions around the world. We work with long-term development programs, advocacy and fundraising, and also various forms of partnerships with other NGOs, with private companies, with municipalities, and different authorities around the country. So immediate support is combined in our work with knowledge development and advocacy work, and they're important parts of Save the Children. So when we're talking about the children's rights according to housing and about the situation of homeless children, we also lean on the UN Committee of the Rights of the Child and their concluding observations from earlier this year, where they also addressed the issue of homelessness among children in Sweden. So you heard Anna before, and the Swedish Authority of Health and Social Services and the Swedish National Strategy. But the UN has also addressed that Sweden needs further to strengthen its policies and to ensure all children to have an adequate standard of living, including by increasing social benefits. And they especially mention single-parent households, asylum-seeking children, children with irregular resident status, and children from foreign backgrounds, developing measures to prevent homelessness and providing adequate and long-term social housing and other support measures for families in need. And we work very closely, Save the Children, with the municipalities. And UN also addressed that Sweden should ensure that all municipalities have child-friendly, temporary or emergency accommodation available for children in need, that no child stays in such accommodation for longer than 14 days, and that children are transferred to long-term accommodation, and prevent eviction, which was also mentioned in the strategy here, of children from their homes. And also what we need to further improve in Sweden is actually to have knowledge about the situation of the children. So to collect public statistics, we're welcoming that very much, and looking forward to get more information about the situation of the number of children in temporary accommodation, for example. So together with the Skåne Stadsmission, Skåne City Mission, you will hear colleagues from them later today. We developed the Children's Housing First model. We developed it together, and we're now working on different pilots or with different projects to test in small scale the model in local municipalities in southern Sweden. The background of Children's Housing First is the situation with homelessness on the rise, and that we can see that the group most severely affected by this issue is families with children. And according to the survey that was mentioned earlier today by the Swedish National Board, around 15,000 children that we estimate living in homelessness in Sweden. And in the region where I work in southern Sweden, where there are 5 counties in the southern part of the country. The largest city in this region is Malmö, third largest city in Sweden, which have big needs in this issue. And there are reports, they report around 400 homeless children. And the projections that we have indicate that the percentage of structurally homeless families are increasing. And with the possibility to develop a project with innovation funding, we initiated the development of this model addressing the issue. And it's we also have had the possibility to get funding together with the City Mission, Skåne City Mission, Skåne Stadsmission. We have funding from IKEA to be able to try and finalize the model, and also we're now starting up in small scale to meet the families. The goal is to provide stable and long-time housing solutions and sustainable livelihoods for more families with children living in the definition of structural homelessness in Sweden. And the housing should enable children to maintain their education, social networks, and have meaningful leisure time. And also, when necessary, parents should receive support to achieve long-term self-sufficiency. That's an important part of the model, as well as in housing first model for adults. Housing should be combined with individual, tailored and flexible support, addressing the specific needs of each family with a focus on the well-being of the child. So the model is based on 4 principles: that children's rights must be upheld in any situation, and housing is a human right, empowerment and participation, and self-sufficiency. So children's rights must be upheld means that all children have the right to decent standard of living according to the Convention on the Rights of the Child, and housing. The Children's Housing First is based on that idea, and on the idea of human rights and children's rights in this case. It ensures that children's rights to housing, education, and their psychological, physical, and social development are met. And housing is also a human right. Families with children should have access to long-term housing through primary contracts. The primary contract part is an important part of the model. But the forms of achieving this primary contract could vary slightly when we're now trying out in the small scale. One property owner, for example, provides a primary contract from the outset, while someone else may prefer a probational period for around 6 to 12 months, with the ambition that it will become a primary contract within the Children's Housing First model. Each family is assigned a contract person. It it's very similar to case management work. It's a guide who provides individualized support based on the family's needs. And empowerment and participatory approach means that the families have rights to make their own choices and have control over their lives through individualized intervention. They have the right to influence their lives. And the self-sufficiency part is that to escape poverty, a source of income is necessary, of course, in order for children to have the best possible living conditions. Their caregivers or the parents need to have sustainable means of support. Therefore, the path to employment is an important component of Housing First for Children. So this is actually a map of that we have developed describing the stages that we guide the families through. And I apologize for the labeling in Swedish here, but I couldn't really change it. Upon moving in, I will try to explain for you that the family is assigned a guide or similar to case manager, whose mission is to support the family in achieving their goals. The guide collaborates with the family to create a comprehensive assessment in which goals and sub-goals are established for each family. They build a secure and trusting relationship with the family, check in on them at least every week, in the beginning more than that, ensure that the family's rights and needs are met by the authorities that they get in contact with and other parts of the society. The guide also safeguards that the child's rights are fulfilled and that the child has influence over the matters that concern them. And we have lots of lessons from other projects and conducted by Save the Children Sweden in just this part of the participation of the children in the family, how we can promote that. To be present during the moving process is also part of the guide's job, and ensure that the family receives and comprehends all relevant information that they need. The person also serves as a bridge between the landlord and the family in this case. And a journey may look like this. First of all, we are identifying families suitable for the intervention. And as we now are trying out this in Malmö and also in another nearby city called Helsingborg. In Malmö, for example, we collaborate with the Skåne Stadsmission sometimes to identify families suitable for the intervention. We also have an information meeting where we are, most of the time, the guides do this explaining to the family what the intervention entails, and we use interpretation if it is necessary. A lot of the families don't have Swedish as their first language. And we do the selection and matching, and with the matching the families and the apartments. The apartments need to be located near community services, and they need to be adapted for the specific family's needs. Should be large enough for the number of children in the family, and if possible, also close to, so that the children can maintain schools and the leisure activities. The family meets with the guide. If they didn't meet already, they meet after the matching process, and the guide together with the family conducts an assessment of the family's individual needs. Each child individual needs are seen in this space. Also, support and follow-up are taking place for about a year. It's our ambition to follow up the family around a year. We don't really know exactly how much time this is needed yet. And during this time, support can include the aspects mentioned when I explained the principles. For example, contacts with landlords and property owners, supporting communications with schools, with healthcare and other institutions. Recreational activities for children are very important. And in these specific occasions, Save the Children Sweden already have different kind of leisure activities that can include the children from families in Housing First for Children. But it could also be guiding the children to other activities that are not from Save the Children, from other organizations or sports and cultural activities. And for the parent or the adults, job searching, internships, etc. Are part of the guide's job. And the goal is for the family no longer to need the intervention and have sustainable housing and sustainable means of support. And therefore, it's important also that the structural homeless families are the target group for this intervention. So that we saw earlier today in the national strategy and how that a large group of these families, actually the housing is their main problem or the main issue, that housing should be the path or the way to actually the self that they can stand on their own, the families, after this. And the current status of Housing First for Children is that we have individually Save the Children and Skåne Stadsmission individually initiated Housing First for Children and trying out in slightly different ways, but we have a lot in common. We also collaborate with the Malmö University with partial funding from the country administrative board to have researchers conducting follow-up research on the model. We appreciate that very much, and we're very much looking forward to see the results. Collaboration is in progress regarding the selection of the target group, and it comprises structurally homeless families that I mentioned. There is ongoing collaboration with the various property owners. It's not a large number from our part. It's a few in Malmö and others in Helsingborg, and we're trying to start this in small scale. So this year it's just a few families that have moved in so far. And an intention agreement is in place between the families and Save the Children, and also between the families and the landlord. And first-hand rental contracts are being established now, so it's slightly different ways in different property owners that I mentioned. We have this partnership with IKEA, which is very important for us, and they've been interesting and actually very interested in us developing this model further and testing how it will work. And the ambition, the next step, our next step is to scale up the model to hopefully Gothenburg. This is from us in Save the Children Sweden. We have initiated work, and the ambition is to start during the beginning of next year. And the goal is for the model to be scaled up nationally. But it's not, we're not forcing the process too much. And we are convinced that addressing homelessness cannot be achieved by any single entity alone. It's necessary to have collaboration between the municipality, the private sector, the non-profit sector, and academia. And this is why we believe in this way of working. Through the development and implementation of Housing First for Children, we aim to demonstrate what such collaboration can look like in practice. And our goal is to inspire more property owners and municipalities to adopt this model and give a way for the families. And ultimately, our ambition is to contribute to both individual and structured change for children living in homelessness. And we believe we are in the way of doing that. This is a few voices from children that we meeting at the moment. I've moved with my children. This is a voice from a parent. I moved with my children 22 times just this year, and finally I'm getting assistance and furniture as well, provided through the model. Mom, I really like my home a lot. You have been great help, and without you, I wouldn't have known where to turn. So hopefully we can inspire more of you to work in a way based in collaboration models, and I'm sure that you already do that also. So it's a joint effort with everyone who are committed to fulfilling our promise to create a better world for children every day. And this is contact information where you can reach me and my colleague Anna Frida Eriksson, who has been working on developing this model. Thank you very much for the invitation presenting in this seminar.
Thank you, Sarah. That was a great presentation of the Children Housing First project. You also defend that the housing solutions should be combined with a children-centered approach that enable them to continue their education and having their social networks, including the possibility of the family to receive support. So this is a really very interesting approach. And now it's time to have another speaker, that is Mrs. Lisette Cordeiro. She will present a project of Housing First from Impulsar Association, that is also an entity here based in Portugal. So Lisette, are you ready? The floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. If you don't mind, I speak in Portuguese like my colleagues. Bom dia a todos, o meu nome é Lisette Cordeiro, sou a diretora-geral da Impulsar, uma IPSS de Leiria. Impulsar é uma organização, é uma IPSS que foi fundada em 2012, nós temos 11 anos de vida, que está situada em Leiria, uma pequena cidade no centro de Portugal. Temos como missão contribuir para a inclusão social das populações mais vulneráveis, como crianças e jovens, imigrantes, refugiados, pessoas em situação de sem-abrigo e também comunidades ciganas. Portanto, temos um trabalho alargado com as pessoas mais vulneráveis da cidade de Leiria, e é neste âmbito que trabalhamos e vos irei apresentar o projeto Morada Certa. O projeto Morada Certa portanto, é um projeto de Housing First, que tem a metodologia Housing First e que pressupõe garantir uma habitação individualizada e dispersa pela cidade. Neste momento temos 15 pessoas integradas e também garantir o suporte de uma equipa técnica. Portanto, o Housing First é sempre, costumamos dizer, uma casa e uma equipa. Para terem uma ideia como é que nós criámos e como é que nós implementámos o Housing First, nós no fundo nós costumamos dizer que iniciámos em 2014, porque em 2014 foi quando sinalizámos e identificámos este problema através de um outro projeto que foi aprovado, que é o Giros na Rua, que é um projeto de redução de riscos e minimização de danos, e que no fundo, através deste trabalho, conseguimos perceber que em Leiria existiam pessoas em situação de sem-abrigo. Havia a ideia, por sermos uma cidade pequena, que não existia este problema e, portanto, foi necessário, primeiro que tudo, dar visibilidade a esta situação e a este problema. E como é que nós fizemos? Nós começámos por fazer e por criar uma exposição que se chama Leiria Sem Teto, Retratos da Invisibilidade, que no fundo a ideia era dar visibilidade a este problema e dar visibilidade a esta situação na nossa cidade. Depois também organizámos vários seminários, no fundo para explicar o conceito que estava e que já estava a ser implementado em Portugal e que era defendido na Estratégia Nacional, e também falar e discutir possíveis soluções para este problema. Foi nesta busca de procurar novas respostas que conhecemos a metodologia do Housing First e começámos a participar em fóruns, em workshops, para conhecer melhor também esta metodologia e este programa, e também levámos à Assembleia Municipal do nosso município a proposta de implementação deste projeto, que foi aprovada por unanimidade na Assembleia Municipal. E foi, portanto, em 2019, com o apoio do município de Leiria, que nós implementámos pela primeira vez o Morada Certa, com 3 pessoas que estavam em situação de sem-abrigo. Foram escolhidas as 3 pessoas que estavam em situação de maior vulnerabilidade, que já estavam há mais anos, portanto 3 pessoas que estavam já numa situação há mais de 10 anos, todas elas que já estavam nesta condição. E, portanto, em 2020, oficialmente foi quando incluímos as pessoas nas casas, e foi neste período, e tendo em conta os resultados desta experiência, que integramos mais pessoas e que fomos alargando o projeto e chegando a outros também financiadores. Foi também, portanto, em 2020 que tivemos um apoio inédito de uma empresa privada, que é o Grupo Luz e Aves, que decidiu apoiar, enquanto entidade do setor privado e na área da responsabilidade social, o projeto Morada Certa, e também já no final, no início de 2021, tivemos também o apoio da Segurança Social. Portanto, temos um financiamento tripartido que nos permite atualmente ter financiado 15 pessoas que estão em situação de sem-abrigo e que estão integradas no Morada Certa atualmente. O Morada Certa segue os princípios que também já foram explicados e explanados pelo meu colega da Crescer, mas o direito a uma casa é fundamental, a ideia de participação e de controle do próprio indivíduo também é fundamental, esta escolha. Nós neste momento não o conseguimos fazer, mas no início, quando iniciámos o projeto, as pessoas escolhiam a sua casa, por exemplo, era possível escolher. Neste momento, como não estamos a abrir novas vagas, é mais complicado, mas a ideia também de separação da casa e do tratamento, a ideia da redução de riscos, da pessoa no centro da intervenção, são tudo áreas e questões fundamentais na nossa intervenção e na intervenção que estamos a desenvolver. E depois também o apoio flexível e adaptado a cada um durante o tempo que for necessário e durante o tempo que for útil e importante para a pessoa. Como é que nós estamos a funcionar? Nós estamos a funcionar, são casas individuais e dispersas pela cidade. Nós recorremos ao mercado individual, ao mercado privado, aliás. Temos visitas semanais, pelo menos uma por semana. Estamos também disponíveis através de um telemóvel 24 horas por dia, 7 dias por semana, e depois fazemos todo um trabalho de acompanhamento individual, onde estabelecemos um plano individual com cada participante e onde garantimos todo o suporte que é necessário para a sua integração, desde o apoio na gestão e manutenção da habitação, desde a mediação e acesso a serviços serviços sociais e de saúde, o acesso à documentação e identificação. Muitos dos inquilinos nem sequer têm a documentação, e este é um fator fundamental também numa fase inicial e na entrada na casa. E depois todo o acesso e a manutenção de benefícios sociais. Muitos dos nossos participantes não têm nenhum rendimento e, portanto, o primeiro passo também é que possam ter um rendimento para também, no fundo, poderem optar e poderem escolher aquilo que querem fazer, e se querem tomar um café, se querem, portanto, é fundamental também terem estas questões também para não estar dependentes do tipo de respostas. Depois também apoiamos, e este é um fator fundamental, na utilização dos recursos comunitários, e este é um desafio que nós temos vindo a ter e que nos faz todo o sentido integrar e desenvolver e trabalhar nesta área da integração comunitária. Temos, por exemplo, temos 5 pessoas que estão em formação profissional ou a trabalhar, temos também 3 pessoas que fazem voluntariado noutras organizações. Isto é de facto fundamental também para as pessoas se sentirem integradas. Depois temos um trabalho muito forte também com outros parceiros, desde vizinhos, proprietários, portanto é todo um trabalho fundamental para promover a integração dos inquilinos e trabalhar com eles a sua integração. Eu costumo dizer que o Morada Certa não é só trabalhar com os participantes, é trabalhar com todos os envolvidos, todos os parceiros, desde os parceiros da área social, como os parceiros da área da saúde, os parceiros, os inquilinos e os proprietários são fundamentais para o sucesso deste projeto. Para terem uma ideia do que já fizemos até agora, desde 2020, desde que entrou a primeira pessoa no projeto, nós já integramos 20 pessoas, 17 homens e 3 mulheres. A média de idades situa-se nos 51 anos. A maioria está entre os 45 e os 56 anos. A maioria são naturais de Leiria. Em Leiria muitas das vezes nos questionam: mas vocês agora têm um projeto, porque que estão a integrar pessoas que vêm fora de Leiria? Não, a maioria já estavam em Leiria, já estavam em situação de sem-abrigo há muito tempo, a maioria há mais de 10 anos, e portanto que são naturais de Leiria ou já viviam em Leiria há muito tempo, e portanto nós estamos prioritariamente a integrar pessoas que já estavam na situação de sem-abrigo crónico e em Leiria. Depois também dizer-vos que a maioria são solteiros e têm baixas qualificações, e este é um desafio muito grande. Portanto, há pessoas que não sabem ler nem escrever, temos 35% das pessoas não sabem ler nem escrever, e portanto é um número muito significativo e que nos coloca também muitas barreiras na intervenção. Portanto, estas são algumas imagens também do projeto. Se tiverem um animal também, e por isso também colocámos esta fotografia, são integrados com os seus animais. Portanto, se vivem na rua com o animal, também são integrados nas casas com o animal que tiverem, e esta é uma parte e uma componente muito importante, porque muitas das pessoas diziam que não queriam integrar-se noutras respostas porque não podiam levar os seus animais, e é de facto fundamental que assim seja e que aconteça. Relativamente aos resultados que nós temos vindo a alcançar, a maioria melhoram a sua situação de saúde, e portanto este é um aspecto fundamental que nós consideramos. Portanto, o acesso à saúde faz com que também, e a adesão a cuidados de saúde faz com que, de facto, a sua situação de saúde melhore. O facto de terem médico de família, portanto, essa é uma das primeiras coisas que fazemos, é tentar esta aproximação aos cuidados básicos de saúde. E depois isso reflete-se noutros aspectos, como a redução dos consumos, o aumento do sentimento de segurança, de estabilidade e de privacidade. Portanto, o facto de se ter uma chave de poder entrar em casa é fundamental, e poder guardar as suas coisas, portanto, e poder ter a sua privacidade. Também a melhoria das condições de autonomia e de responsabilidade, portanto, a pessoa poder decidir também os seus objetivos, decidir o que quer, o que implica também assumir as suas próprias responsabilidades. Isso é todo um processo que faz parte do processo de recovery. Depois também um envolvimento proativo da rede de parceiros, tal como eu já referi. Desde o NCPs, em Leiria não existia NCPs e de facto com o surgimento do Morada Certa foi possível criar o NCPs, porque, e que até aqui não existia, o NCPs no fundo é a nível local que todas as organizações, portanto, que trabalham na área das pessoas em situação de sem-abrigo, que se juntam e que tomam as decisões e que no fundo é o local de monitorização das pessoas que estão em situação de sem-abrigo, e de facto a existência deste núcleo também permitiu trabalhar estas pessoas de uma outra perspectiva, e também, no fundo, o nosso papel aqui também foi influenciar, de certa forma, todos os stakeholders locais para os princípios do Housing First e para esta nova forma de intervir de forma articulada e em rede para resolver esta situação e as pessoas em situação de sem-abrigo. Também dizer-vos e partilhar convosco que este envolvimento proativo, não só dos vários parceiros, foi fundamental com os inquilinos e também com os proprietários. Inicialmente tivemos algumas dificuldades para encontrar locais e encontrar casas, mas a certa altura nós também já temos alguns proprietários que vêm ter connosco para nos alugarem casas, e portanto isto é um trabalho de mostrar também os resultados. E partilhando convosco, no mês passado tivemos o nosso casal, nós temos um casal incluído que casou, e o inquilino o proprietário, aliás, peço desculpa, o proprietário do espaço partilhou nas redes sociais, nem nos disse nada, a dizer que estava muito feliz porque os seus vizinhos tinham casado. Portanto, para além de proprietário do espaço, é também vizinho destes inquilinos e que estava muito feliz deste casamento. E, portanto, estes resultados não são só nas pessoas, mas também na comunidade, porque também estamos a trabalhar para uma melhoria da imagem das pessoas que estão em situação de sem-abrigo, e esse também é o nosso papel e o nosso trabalho. E depois também, e se calhar este é um dos indicadores que nos faz continuar mais, é a satisfação dos próprios inquilinos por estarem incluídos no programa, e também o facto de 90% não retornarem à situação anterior e à situação de rua. Relativamente à avaliação dos próprios inquilinos, dizer-vos que 100% estão satisfeitos em relação ao apoio, 100% sentem-se satisfeitos em relação ao grau de envolvimento e preocupação dos membros da equipa, e este é um trabalho que também é muito importante, a equipa técnica e a relação, o facto de termos um gestor de caso para cada inquilino é fundamental para estabelecer esta relação de confiança e podermos trabalhar com eles. E depois cerca de 80% sentem-se bem ou muito bem com a ajuda que no fundo o projeto lhes dá. Dizer-vos também que, de facto, o facto de Leiria ser uma cidade mais pequena do que a maioria de outras cidades onde o Housing First foi implementado, e em Portugal já havia algumas experiências, mas de facto o Morada Certa e em Leiria permitiu perceber que é possível implementar um modelo numa escala mais pequena, numa cidade mais pequena, e que de facto os resultados demonstram que de facto é uma solução efetiva e de facto é uma solução que também se adequa a várias experiências e a várias regiões e a várias cidades. Dizer-vos também que de facto, no fundo, O projeto permitiu também, tal como já referi, uma discussão pública sobre o tema e uma discussão pública também em termos de melhoria da própria imagem das pessoas que estão em situação de sem-abrigo e uma visão diferente do que é a intervenção e de como podemos fazer a intervenção com estas pessoas. Quais são os próximos passos, na nossa opinião? Portanto, no fundo, é dar continuidade e melhorar o processo de integração comunitária. Para nós é fundamental que isso aconteça, que as pessoas se sintam fazer parte de uma comunidade, e este é um trabalho que já temos conseguido já com muitos dos nossos participantes, mas ainda queremos dar continuidade e queremos dar aqui uma maior expressão. Depois, para aqueles que possam e que queiram continuar a promover as questões da empregabilidade ou da formação profissional, porque de facto também é uma forma de integração comunitária. E por fim, e também melhorar todo o processo de avaliação. Isto é uma coisa mais interna que nós queremos de facto melhorar a monitorização e a avaliação dos resultados que temos vindo a alcançar, até como forma de disseminação destas práticas e de disseminação dos bons resultados. E por último, e eu acho que este aspecto tem sido salientado e acho que faz todo o sentido, é colocar o foco na prevenção e no fundo disseminar esta abordagem do Housing First e dos princípios do Housing First a outras áreas e principalmente a área da prevenção, porque em vez de estarmos focados na emergência, é fundamental que o foco esteja na prevenção e para diminuir o número de casos de pessoas que estão em situação de sem-abrigo e ao mesmo tempo dar enfoque a estas respostas mais efetivas e mais de sem termo, portanto que possam apoiar as pessoas e garantir que todas as pessoas têm uma resposta e que a questão da habitação é fundamental. E portanto tenho aqui a minha colega a Sílvia, não sei se ela quer só acrescentar aqui alguma nota.
Penso que conseguiste tocar todos os pontos mais importantes. Acho que é só de realçar de facto o envolvimento que conseguimos trazer da comunidade para de facto trazer à tona a questão das pessoas em situação de sem-abrigo e ver que a comunidade se tem de facto sensibilizado com este tema e também que tem de certa forma participado, mas que ao mesmo tempo começa a perceber e começa a fazer parte da solução, e acho que é fundamental a colaboração de todos.
Obrigada.
Thank you, José Cordeiro and Impulsar, for your presentation. I think you gave a very good overview of how you can introduce the housing first approach in a small town at the local level. And also, I think you gave also a very good overview of the importance about knowing your target group, because it was interesting when you said that 35% of the people in homelessness in Leiria, they cannot read or write. Which bring us, and also you also gave also the importance of working with prevention, something that has been mentioned both when looking at the Portuguese and Swedish national strategies. But continue on the statistics. I'll go over to the Swedish statistics because the Swedish National Board of Health and Welfare also emphasized in their presentation that when in the latest homelessness mapping in Sweden that was conducted in 2017, we could see of the entire homeless population in Sweden, and those who are in acute homelessness situation, which means that people sleeping in public spaces and so on. We could see that among them there were women experience acute homelessness. It was due to a result of domestic violence. So now I would like to introduce our next speaker, Karina Sleber, who is going to present the project Key, a collaboration model to enable women subjected to domestic violence and safe accommodation. Welcome, Karina.
Hello, thank you. I hope you all hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
And I am the manager of Göteborgs Stadsmission. I think I have to switch off the so here we go. I am the manager of Stadsmissionens sheltered accommodation, which is a major NGO in Sweden, Stadsmissionen. And we have come up with this way of working to try to acquire safe housing for women who have left violent relationships. And we call this model the key. And it is a collaboration model enabling women subjected to domestic violence to acquire safe housing. Next slide, please. When it comes to leaving a violent relationship, there are a lot of problems to face. First of all, domestic violence affects your mental health and your physical health, and it's harmful in many different ways. And when the perpetrator is a partner or a close relative, it makes it difficult to leave the violent situation due to the emotional ties. Even if you know that you really have to leave for your own sake and for your children's sake, it usually takes quite a long time before you pick up the courage and the strength to do it. And the first place most people contact after that is the social services here in Sweden. The social services usually arrange a placement in sheltered accommodation, such as ours, for example. What follows after that is usually legal processes, which are very, very exhausting. It could be to legal battles over the custody of the children, legal battles when it comes to the divorce, and over your belongings that you have together with the perpetrator, such as house, car, everything. So most of these women, they leave with absolutely nothing. And at the same time, there's a great concern for the children and sometimes for the pets. We allow pets as well. I know an earlier speaker said that too, because it makes a lot of the women who move here a little bit happier. And all of the above, all I just mentioned, of course, it creates a feeling of hopelessness at the beginning, but we can actually do a little bit to help here. And the next slide, please. Like I just said before, the victims of domestic violence have to break up from everything. Most women who come to us, they have absolutely nothing. They have the clothes on their body. Sometimes they have a little bag of things, and they have to leave toys for the children, all of their belongings. They just have to leave them back home. And many of the women have to move to another city with the family. So we have a lot of families here with us, for example, here in Göteborg, who come from different cities, because the perpetrator might be following and searching for the family, so it's not very safe for them to be in the original city. And because of that, because you have to move like instantly to another city for your own protection, it's very difficult to work. You can't go back to your old job because a perpetrator knows where you work, and you can't find a new job immediately in a new city. So you basically have no income and you rely on the social services. And furthermore, economic violence is so very common. In a lot of cases, the perpetrator have been taking out loans, for example, in the woman's name, or just plainly kept all their money to himself. A lot of women who come to us are in debt. And I don't just talk about a few 100,000 Swedish kronor. It could be up to 1 million kronor, 100,000 euros, because they have been forced to give away money and take loans. And this makes it so incredibly difficult to get your own place to live later. Because if you are in debt here in Sweden, it's very difficult to get a contract on an apartment. And the social services, they grant sheltered accommodation for very short periods of time. Usually it's for 2 weeks at a time, sometimes 1 month at a time. So the families who come here, they never really know for how long they can stay here and what will happen afterwards. Where will they go? And everything is like, it's like temporary living solutions for everything. And this, of course, all the above leads to very anxious and unsafe mothers and children. And this has been identified as very important to take actions against on a national level, and is now part of the Swedish government's action program, which we are really happy about. So you come to the social services, you ask for support and help, you get sheltered accommodations, but then what? Some municipalities, the social services there, help these families a lot. Some social services in other municipalities are a lot stricter. So you never really know how much and what kind of help you will get after your placement in the sheltered accommodations. Next slide, please. And this is our support and collaboration model that we have worked out ourselves. And it's like a function within our sheltered accommodation. So it's not a separate place. This is what we work with on a daily basis here too, because we have different kind of placements here. And key apartments, as we call them, have become a very big part of the way we work here. And we started to work with it last spring, the spring of 2022. And we started by contacting a lot of private property owners in Göteborg. And we asked them if they wanted to do a good thing for society. Could they be willing to let us master leases for apartments? And we would be forever grateful, because we can't offer anything in return. But we were actually talking to a lot of property owners, and eventually a few of them answered. And we have a very good collaboration with them now. And it works like this. We sign the master lease here from the sheltered accommodations. So Göteborg Stadsmission, my employer, is responsible for the contract, for the master lease. And then we sublet the apartment to the woman or the family. So they sign a contract with us. And the property owner knows this, of course. So they know we have the master lease and we will sublet the apartment. And if anything happens, if the neighbors are complaining about something, or if they smoke inside when they are not allowed to, the property owners contact us, not the family in the apartment. So we take care of all possible disturbances. And we also monitor on a regular basis how the apartment is being maintained. Because we don't want them to wreck the place, of course. We want them to look after the apartment properly. And we do this as long as we are responsible for the master lease. And we have talked to our property owners, and we have worked out that after approximately 12 to 18 months, it's different with different property owners, we could transfer the master lease to the family, the tenant, who have been living there, who have been subletting the apartment from us. And of course, before the property owner can say yes to this, we have to investigate, have they been paying the rents properly? Because the tenants pay the rent to us. So we know exactly when they pay, if they are paying properly and in time. And we know if they have been looking after the apartment properly. And another condition is that they have to accept our help with trying to sort out their economy while they are living in the apartment, while they are subletting the apartment, so to speak. Because it doesn't matter if they are in debt when they move in. The property owners have said, that's okay, we accept that. But they don't want them to get more into debt during the time they live in the apartment. Because the property owners want to be sure that these people can handle their economy and that they can pay rent later on. So we need to sort a few things out before we can recommend the family to the property owners. But I'm quite happy to say that it's only happened once that a family have not been granted the master lease. So they are behaving very well, and they are very happy for this chance. And for our sake, we need the social services with us in this. They have to support the family for at least 12 months. And for most of the time, they can do it, or at least for 10 months. But if a family need to stay in the apartment for 18 months before they get the master lease, of course, we are staying with them, even if the social services aren't paying us for it, to be blunt. I mean, we stay with the family. We give them our support when the social services have left the picture, so to speak. Next slide, please. There are a few conditions, of course, to be eligible for a key apartment. We need to investigate and identify the level of threats that this family is subjected to. We need to see if they are prepared to follow our kind of safety rules, as we call it. You're not allowed to say where you live until you have a master lease. It has to be like a protected, a sheltered apartment for a while. And it's very important that we can work together when it comes to the safety. And we need to know what has happened to this person before. And of course, the individual has to be capable of taking responsibility for the apartment. We don't accept people with alcohol or drug problems, because we find it really hard to motivate people who are using something, because it's very easy for them to accidentally say where they live and not protect themselves. So that is one rule that we have. So no, I mean, of course I can have a glass of wine sometimes, but no abuse, so to speak. And of course the apartment we are being offered from the property owners has to match the needs of the family. And a long-term decreasing support from the social services is required too. And sometimes the social services say no, they don't want to support a family to get an apartment like this, even though to get an apartment in Göteborg city, where we are, there's like a waiting list for 10 years. And this way, a family can get a master lease on an apartment in 18 months. So we think it's a very good opportunity for a family to get a place to stay. But some social services say yes, and some say no. And we don't really know why. And the support we offer are at different levels. And at the beginning of a placement, we visit the individuals once or twice a week and speak to them every day over the phone. But after a few months, it could be on a regular basis once a week or once every fortnight. Because these families, of course, they can be traumatized, they can feel really bad because of what have happened to them, but they are basically very capable people. They just need help with getting back on their feet again after leaving everything behind. Next slide, please. And all the individuals who stay in our key apartments, we help them to make recurring safety plans. And we do that if there's like a special activity, or if they are going to visit somebody, we help them to plan these activities so they are as safe as possible for the whole family. And we also offer personal safety alarms that they can carry with them. And we're always here. They can call us and get support through telephone calls around the clock. And if there's an emergency, of course, we will come to the apartment as soon as possible. And during the visits, we offer them housing assistance. And a lot of our tenants want and need support in the contact with authorities. And emotional and practical support for both mother and children is of course included. We talk a lot, and we have a person here who work directly with the children and have special kind of talks with the children. So we always offer them chances to talk. And of course we plan activities, and we have support groups where they can all meet together and share experiences and help each other. It's like an empowerment group. Next slide, please. And these are our experiences so far. It has been quite easy actually to find apartments through our collaboration with private property owners. They seem very eager to let us rent their apartments. I think they just want to do good, and we are very grateful for that, of course. And they're very friendly, and they think this is a fantastic thing we're doing here, and they know they don't get any like free advertising or anything because they can't see their names anywhere. So I think they are doing it just because they want to do something good. And we have seen the families who have moved into our key apartments, we have seen how they have changed. They explain to us that after they get their own place, their own floor, their own roof, they feel so much better. And especially when they know that they don't have to move again soon. And the children can start school again, and they don't have to think about what they should tell their friends at school, because now they can say, I live here, and invite their friends home. The social services have had problems with adjusting their working methods to what we require from them. When we say that we need at least 10 to 12 months of support from them, they don't really know how they could be able to do that, because they don't take such long, they don't have such long placements, and they can't make this kind of decisions. So there's a lot of discussions going on. While, as I have to say, some other social services, like I said earlier, in other municipalities, they don't seem to have any problems at all with signing a contract saying, okay, we take the responsibility for this family for another 12 months. So I guess it's down to the economy. And we would like to get in contact with the property owners outside of Göteborg, because we have quite a few Göteborg families who need to move away from the city. But we find it really hard to establish a good contact with the property owners who don't really know that much about us. So we're working hard there. But we would like a larger geographical area of flats. So this is what we do. And thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Carina, for this interesting description of your work with the key.
Thank you.
key apartments. I think it's very interesting, this collaboration between the private property owners and yourself and your organization, and also this, I think we can all relate to that, this difference in the interpretation from the social services in different municipalities or communities, how they can go to direct these questions or to work with this in so very many different ways, when it is the same legislation in the that really
it's very hard to understand. It's very hard to understand,
yes.
actually.
I really understand that frustration, yes. So thank you very much, Carina. And we were thinking we would have a session of questions and answers, so we could perhaps look back also on this morning and this day to see if there are any questions. For example, for our projects promoters who are here. I think Sarah had to leave, but yeah, the Portuguese examples and Carina is still here. Or if there's any more questions that if we can't answer them, we can at least find out the answers regarding the call. So the floor is open for questions or perhaps some reflection as well from the participants, if you want to share.
Thank you. I just want to congratulate all the presentations that were made really inspiring and give us and highlight on this big problem that did not decrease but increased in the last year. So there's really a need to tackle this need. I represent Pista Mágica, which is a Portuguese volunteering school, and I have worked with Doctors of the World in Portugal, and also started the first project here that I started in Portugal was with the homeless, in fact. So and for more than 20 years that the project is still running. So I have this knowledge how to work with this population, but my organization itself is not working specifically only with this target group. We are a volunteering school, so what that means is that we create and share knowledge in volunteering, and also we create innovative methodologies to use volunteering, not only the capacity building, but also to use volunteering as an inclusion, as a tool for inclusion. So what that means is that we have a model of to work with people in a vulnerable situation. Can be homelessness, can be with also mental illnesses, can be with disabled people, can be with youngsters in difficult situations, can be with everybody is living in a vulnerable condition. So we use volunteering as a tool for inclusion, and we already had the prototype of the project, and we are now ready to scale that model of support. So what I'm saying is that I'm making my organization available to partner with projects because homelessness is not only housing, and the presentations talked about that we have to give a full support, to provide a full support for a life, for the project life, the happy, we call it the happiness project of life of these populations. So I'm just saying that I'm available with my organization if volunteering, or to do the capacity building for a volunteering program to a project, and something that can if we are not doing an application by ourselves, but we can be partners, and if we can be useful, I am making my organization available for that. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to share that.
Well, thank you. Yes. and as I think we started this whole session with, it's also this possibility to share the contact information between everyone who's been here and so on, to see both with the aim, of course, for the call on social innovation to combat homelessness, but also other issues, of course. So if there is no more specific questions at this stage, and it's we have been here for a while now, but I would hand over to my two colleagues, Luisa and Teresa, for a small wrap-up of this session and this day today. And I would like to thank you all for participating. Thank you. So Teresa and Luisa, please.
Thank you, Anna-Lena. In fact, our workshop is almost ending. It was a full morning of great presentations of the call details, of the national strategies, and practical examples of innovative projects that are being implemented on the ground. I will give you some highlights of the main message of our Portuguese speakers and Maria from the European Commission as well. So Maria has presented the call, highlighting that the call is broad to have innovative projects with interesting ideas that can be scaled. So the focus is to fund transnationality and not local initiatives. And as an optional goal is to have projects that can help elevate the knowledge of people and organizations that work with homelessness. One good news is that the European Commission is considering to postpone the deadline of the call, but let me remind you that the deadline is the 15th of December. So you still have time to prepare an application. Then Mr. Henrique Joaquim from our Portuguese national strategist has presented the Portuguese strategy for this complex social problem. Just in Portugal, we have 10,700 people homelessness, and the Portuguese strategy is very focused on housing first approach and having person-centered approach in order to increase the autonomy and the auto-determination of people in this unfortunate situation. Then the Portuguese projects were presented, like Americo Nava presented the housing first and the integration through work, highlighting the need to have a fast admission, an approach to deal with people with complex needs, and having this housing first approach as a basic human right, so people can be independent, be in these houses without limitation in time and throughout the city, so they cannot be identified as people with this unfortunate background. The good news that he gave us here is that 90% of people that has been involved in the project has not come back to the homelessness situation. So this is a very, very good number for dealing with this complex problem, that we still have to change the mindset and to adapt the solution to the people and not the other way around. And at last, Portuguese project to be presented was Impulsar, presented by Lisette Cordeiro. That gave us all the process, starting from the idea to give visibility to the problem, to go to events to get more knowledge on this very complex social problem, to raise the awareness of the local municipalities to this problem in a city, medium city that is Leiria here in Portugal, and to have this innovative approach of multiple sources of funding with social security from one hand to even private companies on the other hand. So these were very interesting ideas of these projects that can be scaled in, let's say, a big project that can be applied to this funding from the European Commission, from the EaSI strand. And I think that these presentations were very, very interesting, and we will share it with all the participants. We have the presentations and we'll circulate that information. And from my side, I'm very happy to be with all of you. If you have any questions, I'll be here in the EaSI NCP Portuguese if I don't know the answer, to help you find the answer. So please do not hesitate to contact us if you need. And now I say goodbye and I pass the word to Teresa Villan. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for staying until this hour. And I will try to do the wrap up with the same energy as Luisa, but it will be difficult, I can say that. Yeah, and from the Swedish side, I will start by doing the summary from the main takings for the Swedish national strategy to combat homelessness from 2022-26. And basically I was surprised that, not surprised, but it's the same content as the Portuguese, and the main takings are the same as the Portuguese. So the Swedish strategy contains 4 objectives as follows: that homeless should be prevented, no one should live on the streets, the housing first approach should be implemented nationally, and the social perspective in community planning should be strengthened. And this, like Luisa said before, is that the strategy, the main answers of the strategies are the same, but maybe it's the implementation that it differs. But we still, and also the housing first is a commonality between the 2 strategies, as we saw today. And also the Swedish strategy focus on combating and preventing homelessness within the social services. So this, and also when we saw the Swedish projects, they all collaborated with the social service at the municipalities. And we also received presentation of the main challenges when it comes to working with the homelessness prevention in Sweden. And the main challenge were the housing shortage, and this was the same as the Portuguese one. In Sweden, we see a lack of rental accommodation for people with low income, which affects our target group when it comes to homelessness. And also we could see that few municipalities that offer the housing first, there were not so many. It was 34 of 219 municipalities. So the numbers are quite low in Sweden. And also one of the main challenges was the social service cannot solve the housing shortage by themselves, and collaboration is essential, which comes to the part of the projects that were presented. The Swedish project, they emphasized the collaboration perspective. And we saw Svensson from Save the Children's presentation, where she presented the importance of collaboration and how they found the partnership with IKEA, for example, IKEA, and also with property owners. And also they had, we saw the key project who also emphasized the collaboration part, that this is an issue that no one can solve by himself. It needs a collaboration with the public sector, private sector, NGOs, and social economy, and also academia, because we saw one of the projects had a collaboration with Malmö University, and who was doing the evaluation with the finance for the Swedish National Board for Health and Welfare. I think I will stop there with the main takings. Oh, yes. Before I finalize, I forgot the priorities in the Swedish. And also that we could see the concrete activities, the importance of increasing outreach, and also to work with prevention and still make development of the local level and work with prevention, and also to support the municipality and the social services. Like someone said here, it's not just the housing first. There are different approaches that can be done to combat homelessness. And with that, I would like to thank you for listening. And I will give the word to my colleague, Anna-Lena, who's going to wrap up this event.
I feel we've said wrap up sometime now, but but never mind. Just to remind you all that this has been recorded. We will edit it a bit, and then it will be available for those who need to refresh the memories of everything on our websites, both in Portugal and in Sweden for the national contact points. And we will distribute the presentations and the contact lists also to you all. And as Louisa said, I will just underline that once again, that we are here to support you if you want to go further on with the call and answer that one. And as soon as we know anything about the possible postponement of last date for the applications, we will of course let you know through our web pages for certain, and also maybe with emails. We will figure it out. So thank you again for all your attention, and it's been lovely to having you here at this meeting. So thank you and take care.
Thank you. It was great to listen to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.